show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. What's going on, all you scallywags? And all of you nutmeggers. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. And happy Thanksgiving Eve. I hope all of you are ready for the big gobble, gobble day. Hanging out with family. If you're traveling and you're on the road, remember what I said yesterday. Be patient. It is about getting there. It's not about when you get there. It's about getting there. One of my favorite lines from a movie is, if a meeting can't start until you get there, that's a meeting worth going to. That's what I like. So if you're going to visit family, they want you there when you get there. So just take your time. You know, don't rush. There are a lot of people out on the road, and they all want to get to their families too. Be considerate. Didn't you hear Nate yesterday? He believes that instinctively in all of us we care about our fellow man. Nonsense, that child. God bless him. I know you guys were chomping at the bit to get at this kid yesterday, but I had to hold you at bay. You can be mad at me. That's fine. You can all be mad at me. I'm used to it. Yeah, everybody under the sun wanted to call in. Texted me. Ask him this. Ask him that. Can you imagine? He's a 26-year-old kid. Yes, everybody, we know that. And I'm not saying it to be dismissive of him. I use the word delusional in a good way. He's a kid. He's 26. He wants to see the good in all of us. He believes that all of us should live our best life. No one should live in poverty. No one should live without basic needs. This stuff is attractive to kids. It just is. So those of you who were mad, I apologize to you if you were mad because you wanted to get in on him to get your pound of flesh. I would have told him this. It's not that serious. He's a 26-year-old alderman. It's an opportunity for me to get at him, to find out the things that he's about, and also to make him comfortable in coming into this space. The next time he comes here, he is, by the way, just so you know, he is eager to talk to you. He wants to talk to you so bad he can't wait to come back. That's the beauty of it. We're going to develop those relationships. Imagine a world where you have been complaining your entire life. They never go on conservative programs. They never answer the hard questions. And guess what? Your neighborhood Reese on the radio delivers for you. Okay? So when Nate Simpson comes back, you guys will be able to get on the phone and ask him the tough questions and to explain some of his ideas to you. Yesterday was just an introduction, right? It's the feeler. Let's get to know him. Let's get him coming. Not to bait him, because he knows I'm not baiting him. I told him right behind the scenes. I was like, look, we don't talk enough. And if I may go so far, he ain't a MAGA fan. I asked him behind the scenes. We're like, what's your deal on MAGA? He even justified some of the hatred that people on the socialist side have for MAGA. He tried to, at least. And then, of course, I sprung it on him by saying, okay, I'm a MAGA guy. What do you think that did to him? He felt uncomfortable. He had just expressed to me that some of the hatred towards MAGA folks and the frustration towards MAGA folks is justified. Then I told him I was MAGA. I could see the uncomfortable. I said, don't be uncomfortable. It's okay. I don't begrudge you your opinion of people who are in a MAGA coalition. It's okay for you to feel that way. I'm not mad at you. Your feelings are your own, but that's all they are feelings. I don't get all my pain. He is going to recognize at the end, and as his friend said to him, yo, this was cool. Imagine that. Imagine that. He came on a conservative program under the idea that it was going to be contentious, and by the time it was over, not only, and by the way, before it was over, he wanted to stay longer. He wants to come back. Boom, shakalaka. That's what this is all about. So you'll get your shot, I promise. I'll get into that part, what I want to talk about in my conversation with Nate Simpson yesterday. But I have to address something else. And this is something that I know my wife doesn't know because she wasn't really following it today. But I have some bittersweet news. You may have even heard it during the top of the hour. But it's bittersweet nonetheless. Why? It's one of my favorite series here on Reese on the radio. And today is the final episode. The ending saga. Is it saga? Of Willis and Wade. That's right, folks. It's over. It's a wrap. Holy crap. I can't believe it. It's over. A prosecutor has finally made the decision to drop all charges in the RICO case against Donald Trump. It's over. It's a wrap. Dunzo. Fani Willis was disqualified. They waited until the last, 2 hours before the deadline came up. Was it like a week ago? And then a new prosecutor was named. The prosecutor then looked at the evidence and said, that's it, we're done. Looked at all the evidence and said, look, we got no RICO case here. We got nothing. And ended the whole thing. The case was officially dropped and dismissed in its entirety today by a Georgia judge following a recommendation from special counsel Pete Skandalakis, appointed by prosecuting attorneys counsel after Willis's removal. No trials, no convictions, complete closure for all remaining defendants. 15 who pled not guilty and the others who had prior plea deals or dismissals. It is all over. They called the prosecution flawed and impractical, arguing that the evidence, the phone calls, the tweets, the meetings, couldn't sustain RICO charges against law-abiding alternate electors misled by lawyers. Trump's preemptive pardons of 77 fake elector allies announced on November 9th, excluding himself, mooted much of the case. Broader context, Trump's presidency and the DOJ shifts made state and federal tensions untenable. It is a wrap. So I would like my $1,000, you bozo in Sacramento. I would also like my other $1,000 from the other bozo in Sacramento, California. The people who told me that the case would never end and that Donald Trump would definitely see the inside of a jail cell in Georgia. I love the fact that we got a mugshot out of it, that people made T-shirts out of it, that Trump now hangs said mugshot in the White House, in the Oval Office, as a mockery of all the things that they did to him. All of it. I don't care about James Comey. I don't care about Letitia James. I don't care about any of it. We're not done, by the way. Jack Smith, you're next. I'm just saying, Jack Smith, you're next. I want all the prosecutors. And then after Jack Smith, Alvin Bragg. All of them. All of them. Judge Boasberg. I want everybody. I want them to face the ridicule. You'll never hear from Fani Willis again. That's over. That's over. No one's heard from Nathan Wade, huh? Anybody seen him? Is he in a cabin somewhere? Huh? Is he in a cabin? So I just want to say congratulations to the president. When the guy said winning, I just didn't think it would be this glorious. It is. I'm just having a blast. So, and all of you who are mad, how do I put this? Those of you who are really, really upset and angry and think that this is a miscarriage of justice. Oh, no. Nobody cares. Anyway, my conversation yesterday with Nate Simpson, alderman of New Britain, I was having a lot of fun talking to Nate. And my favorite part of my conversation with him yesterday was asking the question many of us have asked those who are socialists, especially when they're talking about millionaires or billionaires, the people who draw the most ire from socialists. I don't think that we should have billionaires. I believe we should outlaw them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. They're here. You can't do anything about it. They should have their own saying. We're here. We're rich. Get used to it. Borrowing from a particular group. But when you ask the question, okay, fine, they're billionaires. How much of their money would you tax? $1. How much would you tax of every dollar that they make? Now, socialists never want to answer this question. And some who do will go so far, at least in my personal life, have gone so far as to say 80 cents on every dollar. Yeah, I've heard it that high. Some are a bit more, middle of the road. They'll go 50 cents. Split it. If they have $1 billion or they bring in, or they're billionaires, I should say, and they make millions of dollars, that we should tax them 50 cents on every dollar. I get more of the 50 cents than I do the radicals who go, 70, 80, 90 cents. But lately, they've not been able to say so. They say things like, it would really depend, or, how many billions do they have? And they do all of this twisting and turning stuff. So I was thinking about that last night and saying to myself, I have a feeling that I get it. I think I know why socialists can't answer that simple question. And when we talk to Nate about how their socialist, dream would work when it comes to businesses, he didn't like the word employee. He liked the word workers. Yeah, I get it. Everybody was probably shouting me down, going, that's a Soviet term. I get it. I don't want to play that silly game with people. Calling them workers means that they have a stake in there, and like workers mean they're just, they're comparable to the owners of the company. I get it, at least in his mindset. Anyway, in talking about this, the framework, as you all know, is flawed, right? What Walmart does with its workers and what Target does with their workers, what McDonald's does with their workers, they can all be arbitrary, right? It could be whatever those companies set. And there is no standard. Why? Because they do understand, in order to do that they as a government would have to set said standard no matter what the company was. If you made this amount of revenue, this is exactly what you have to split with your workers, and the government would be in charge. And that's the problem that socialists have. They have to admit that the government would be in charge. That's the rub. They don't want to admit that. So it got me thinking, maybe the truth is socialism isn't really something we should concern ourselves with. I think it's meant to be a nuisance. Because truth be told, they really can't implement it. They can rabble-rouse about it. They can get elected into office. But imagine what they would have to do in order to completely reverse everything we've done as a nation. and to get their utopia they think is possible. They'd have to rearrange the world, at least the one we live in. And I think it's only meant to be a nuisance because that's what it is. It's to give the impression that they're going to change things, but the rules are just too big and too strong for them to change. We still have a constitution, ladies and gentlemen. They would have to thwart that as well. And another thing they would have to do is keep the people, the makers, they would have to keep the billionaires from leaving. It doesn't matter if all of New York becomes a socialist state. We're talking every elected official becomes a socialist. What's the big deal? People can just move to a red state. Everything. Just pack it up. It would be worth more to them to just make New York, I don't know, in Oklahoma. What's the big deal? And let New York fall. At the end of all the socialism comes Atlas Shrugged. And they do know it. Deep down, I think they all know it. That's why I think it's nothing more than a nuisance. But you tell me. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls. We'll read your comments. And I've got a whole bunch of news and views. And I think we got Ben Proto coming in today. We'll see if he shows. We'll be back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
I cannot believe I forgot to do that. I put that darn thing on. What's up, guys? It's Reese on the radio. We are back. NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. I've got phone calls. I'm going to grab you in a second. Ben Proto is here, so I know I was asking the question. Is he going to show? Yes, he is here, sitting right across from me.
Early.
And he's early. I was going to say that. I'm going to say he's early. We did a little bit of chatting behind the scene, but we'll get into that in a second. Let me get to some phone calls real quick before everybody starts losing their mind. Stevie V, what's going on, sir?
Well, the gentleman you had on yesterday, I know one way that I would love to see that thing about helping out one another work, that would be in the school system, having students help one another.
Now, Stevie's talking about Nate Simpson and his appearance yesterday. We had him on for about 2 hours yesterday. And, listen, I can't begrudge a kid who wants everyone to work together and believes that we're all just going to coalesce and, sort of become the Borg. There is, that we are the collective. Resistance is futile. That's kind of, I don't make fun of him in the sense of he's idealistic in a good way.
Well, you know what I ask a lot of young people that are idealistic is the question I asked you yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you had a driveway and it had snowed, would you be willing to pay somebody more to plow it, to have it snow blow it, or to shovel it? And what would be the reason who you would pay more for if you were to pay somebody more?
Yeah, if I were to pay more, one, because if I wanted it done fast, I would get somebody with a snow blower, or even faster with a plow. And I've done both, by the way. I had a guy down the block who had what are those things? A Bobcat. I was walking to the store. I saw him with a Bobcat, and I was like, wow, you have a Bobcat. He said, could you pave my driveway? He said, sure. He drove the thing about a quarter mile to my house, and he pounded my gate and got $50. And he was there for 10 minutes.
Right. Now, I would pay more if somebody was insured and had higher expense, and I'm worried about somebody getting hurt on my property, whatever. But a lot of young people would say they would pay somebody shovel, and I would ask them why. They would say because they're working hard.
Right.
So my response would be, well, how much would you pay a kid with a teaspoon to shovel it?
That's a good point.
The thing is it's too bad, like, let's say you had to have a house painted or whatever, but, workers are not all the same. But if you were making so much to have the house painted and somebody could get the job done in half the time,
yeah,
they should get paid the same as somebody who takes twice as long.
Correct.
Unfortunately, when you're in business, as you know and I know, that things come up. I mean, even if you got sued, what are they going to do? Claw back money from people that you already paid them extra because, you're sharing whatever, you know what I mean? He seemed like a nice guy. Definitely, I know where he's coming from. I don't fault him one bit.
Yeah, and isn't that the cool thing though, Steve? Is that you can talk to a kid who openly admits that he's a socialist. You get to know him for 2 hours sitting on the show, and you say to yourself, he's not a bad kid. You know, it's that's the brilliance of getting to know the kid.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's just it's just so much that's so complicated in things. Like I said, I wish students would help one another. I wish that they wouldn't go so much just on the grading system, because at the end of the day is what did you learn and how could you use that in life, as opposed to you got A, B, or C, or you failed or whatever.
Indeed. Thank you, Stevie.
Thank you.
You
Bye-bye.
got it. Georgie, what's going on, sir?
Hi, happy Thanksgiving, Reese.
You too, sir. Did you hear the conversation with Nate yesterday?
No, I didn't tune in yesterday, but this was brought up on Fox.
Oh, okay.
The blue states are taxing on tips. In essence, they're not following any of the Republican laws.
Yeah, the big beautiful bill.
The last few months.
Yeah, the big beautiful bill really doesn't take place until January.
Anyway, the blue states are gonna tax on tips. It's the blue states that question illegal military orders, things like that. Mm-hmm. They, in essence, have broken away from the federal government when Republicans take over. When Republicans are in control,
you don't see them as being just nuisance. You don't see them as just being a nuisance.
Well, I thought we were 50 states.
Yes.
I always thought that when the newly elected government was in, you followed it, but apparently that's not true with the Democrat Party.
No, and I think it's a new. I think what happened this time around was that they were so effective the first time around with the distractions, be it Russia, be it Ukraine. And there was so much that they were able to handicap the president of the United States that this time around, when he won and got a mandate, what they did was, instead of be feckless, which is in essence what they were essentially going to do, what they decided to do was just start leaving landmines or creating their own sort of diversions, if you will. That's why I say this resistance stuff, it's more of a nuisance than it is actual things that, because at the end of the day, they move on. You know, what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? He signs the bill. It's no longer a story. Now the story is this stupid video.
Also, Reese, recently they've stuck inflation with the present government when it was the last 4 years under a MIA president that caused the inflation in the first place.
And now, you know what? And then in classic Democrat form, now they're pretending that none of that inflationary stuff happened under Joe Biden, and now it's Trump's fault that it hasn't come down, which, again, is classic. And to me, it's just distraction nonsense. Thank you, George. Let me get one more. Thomas is in the room. What's going on, sir?
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too, sir.
Oh, man, Nate, I guess he's a nice guy, but he's so naive. And I don't know, a new drinking game. Every cliche Nate says, you got to take a drink. I don't know. Reese, I have I own a small service business.
Okay.
One of my customers hasn't paid me for 3 months.
Wow.
I stopped doing it. But they were just bought out by like a huge
conglomerate?
Yeah. And they owe you like $5,000. My employee got paid in there for 3 months. Can I take that money back from him that I paid him?
Yeah, I hear you.
It drives me crazy.
I know it does.
Hey, he's young. He's young and naive. That's what I think.
Yeah, and you know what's the beauty of it is? When he hits about 35 years old, and he's got to take care of a family, and he buys a home, or if he has an interest in buying a home, or if the kids want new toys, or they've, joined soccer, whatever, like a soccer club or baseball or whatever thing, and he starts to realize that the taxes are just too damn high, he'll figure it out. They all come around when it's convenient. They'll immediately denounce the error in their ways. But you want to know, Thomas, I got to bring this up. Do you remember what he said when I asked him about Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell? Do you remember what his answer was?
Yeah, he didn't know who they were.
Exactly. Never heard of him. Never heard of him. And the first thing I said to him was, what are you doing? I said, are you kidding me? You've never heard of them? I said, the two words when Thomas Sowell was asked, what made you a conservative? He said 2 words, the truth. If you're not listening to those two men, and again, both of them former Marxists, if you really think about it, just pay attention to those guys today, and he completely changed his mind. But that's kind of the effort of these folks. Ignore any competing ideas so that they can maintain their own. That's all that was about.
Reese, it's going to take 20 years, but every young conservative should think about going into being a high school, a grade school teacher, and turning the tide of what the liberals did starting in the 60s.
Yes, first we have to we have to convince those young conservatives to take the crappiest pay for the most dangerous job.
Well, that's going to be the hard part.
Thank you, boss.
A rotten system.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, man. It's going to be an interesting one. So we got a couple of minutes here. Let me read some chat room comments. Jason says, happy Wednesday, Reese. Happy Thanksgiving. Since you're not going to be here tomorrow. Yes, I was forced to take a day off. I'm seeing HR as we speak. Because Brian Shackman gets to work, and I don't get to. Roland, you could have lobbied for me, Roland, so that I can work. Even if you could take the day off. We could have brought Justin down here. He doesn't have a family. Justin's going to be mad that I said he doesn't have a family. Not, you know what I mean, an immediate family. He's got no wife. He's got no kids. He's young. You know? Well, mom and dad, he can see them earlier and then come down here and then work. It's that simple. Jason says, the biggest problem in the United States is not the world. Socialism results in 2 classes, the super rich and the poor, nothing else. The Pilgrims tried community in the beginning, and they almost starved to death. Well, a lot of them did starve to death, actually. There's an entire story about their commune, if you will, where some people decided they weren't going to work, and soon, as I mentioned yesterday, they were eating boot leather and shoestrings. Zach says, I'm not going to tell people how they should feel, and being adversarial is fine, but insulting Nate isn't right. I don't think were we insulting him? I don't think we were insulting him, Zach. Well, it may have been some people online who were insulting him. Anyway, he seems like a good heart, like he has a good heart, genuinely wants people to be happy. And again, that's enough. I just think his ideas are wrong. He believes people are willing to help everyone else because he would do that. That's also true. And you know what my rule is? Stop telling everybody else what to do. You first. He is being too idealistic, Zach says. Unfortunately, not everyone is as willing as him. That's where the ideas flop. You're 100% right about that. We'll take a break. More news, more views. I'm going to give you some heads up on some stories we're going to talk about later, but we got Ben Proto in the house, which I'm very, very happy. It's happening. He's going to be here. We'll get to the bottom of a whole bunch of stuff going on with the Republican Party. We may even start early when we get back. So stand by. More news, more views. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
All right, I'm working over here trying to get Ben Proto's microphone up. How are you, sir? Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to have you here, I should say.
I'm good, Reese. I'm doing good. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Hopefully it's relaxing and fun for everybody. And be careful of those dining room table political conversations.
Yeah, listen, I haven't even told anybody this yet. But, people are probably going to have those conversations. And I've been telling everybody, if they come up, just listen. It is really, really important to just listen, especially if you don't agree with that individual. Like if you're a conservative and you got some liberal kids who show up, they're teenagers and they got piercings everywhere. And I was like, yeah, Trump's a fascist. Just listen. You don't even have to react. Just listen and let them go on and go, tell me more. Let me understand. This is an opportunity for you. People don't get that. It's an opportunity to talk to people who you normally wouldn't get that chance to, and to listen to where their head's at. And I know that most people are reactionary in those cases. What would you do in the case if one of your teenage nephews or nieces walked in and was screaming, Uncle Ben, that Trump is a fascist? How would you deal with it?
You mean like my daughter?
Okay, there you go. Okay, perfect. How would you deal?
We have conversations. My daughter's 32, and she and I have very good conversations.
That's good.
About she's not a big Donald Trump fan.
Mm-hmm. Neither are you, apparently.
Well, it depends who you talk to.
Okay.
It seems, but no, I'm not, according to a whole bunch of people. But she also was not a Joe Biden fan.
Okay. Did she become an anti-Biden fan, but she was all gung-ho in 20?
No. I don't know that she was a Joe Biden fan in 20 as much as she was, I don't want to vote for Donald Trump in 20.
Okay.
So, which I think that was probably true of particularly a lot of younger people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly like this guy. I mean, I go back to 2016.
Okay.
And Hillary and Trump. And I've been doing this a long time, and I always kind of said, for the first time in my lifetime, we had two people running that nobody really liked.
Okay.
And it was, who do I like
less? Okay.
To some extent. And I think, but we'll have, now my son, very different than my daughter in that regard. He likes Donald Trump. He likes his policies. It doesn't always particularly like how he presents some things, but he likes his policies. My son is a little younger than my daughter.
Okay.
He's not quite 30 yet. He's 29.
Mm-hmm.
Bought his first house about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter lives in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a very different kind of perspective on life.
Okay.
And so
does your son still live in Connecticut?
He does.
Okay.
He bought a house down a couple towns over from us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in Stratford, as we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I think when you're talking to people, particularly when you're talking to younger people, you kind of have to understand, first of all, where they're coming from. And some of that literally is, where are they coming from geographically?
Right.
And what is the world they live in on a somewhat regular basis? The other part about it is, you're absolutely right, what you said before, and I've said this time and time and time again, and politicians are the worst at this. My dearly departed Italian mother used to always tell me that, God gave us two ears and one mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
Listen twice as much as you talk, which you'll find out today I don't do very well. I talk a lot.
That's okay.
But you're right. If you sit and listen more to people, not only do you get a better understanding of where they're coming from, it gives you a better understanding of how to respond to them, whether they're agreeing with you or disagreeing or somewhere in between. But oftentimes, in social media, I think is the purveyor of this position, is that it's got to be immediate, it's got to be attacking, it's got to be negative. Social media is not a positivity place.
It's a slum.
It's a slum. It's a cesspool, and a lot of that generation, millennials and Gen Zs, grew up in that slum, in that cesspool, and that's how they react to it. And I think folks in our generation, I'm a boomer, you're, I think, probably Gen X.
Gen X.
Right? Moved into that cesspool and said, oh, this is how it works, and that's kind of what we do. So I try very hard when I'm having conversations with people to listen to them, listen to what they have to say, and then respond. And look, I know they don't always agree with me, and that's fine. I have no problem with people who disagree with me. What I have a problem with is people who try to make up their own facts about things, because that's always a problem. You might have heard a little bit that yesterday from the guest you had on, making up some of his own facts about things.
He's about Nate Simpson? No, I think, like I said, I think the kid is ideologically fairy dust, but that's again, that's the product of our young people today and the education that they have.
Yes. And I also think that the product of that, and again, a lot of that is, I think, driven by social media, is your ideology drives your facts. Your facts don't necessarily drive your ideology.
Good point.
So you try to create facts to fit the ideology, and we see that from the far right, the MAGAs, from the far left, from the liberals, it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum.
Right.
You try to fit the facts to meet your ideology. One, because it makes you feel better. And two, it makes you feel, I think, somewhat more superior.
I've got 10 seconds because I got to go to the top of the hour news, but we're going to come back and we're going to begin this because I got a lot of questions to ask you about this, so stand by. We got the top of the hour news coming up with John Silva. I'm here with Ben Proto on Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Reese on the Radio, making sense of the news. Even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
All right, folks, we are back, but just for the sake of doing what we do here, we do have some breaking news here. I want to thank my wife and, of course, also Zach in the chat room just told us. It says that 3 people were shot near the White House today, including 2 National Guard troops, according to multiple reports. The D.C. Metro Police Department confirmed the shooting occurred on 17th and I Street in Northwest, but didn't share how many victims were involved. So this is, of course, a breaking story. If there's anything that comes of it, we will let you know. I'm sure that John Silva will have it at the bottom of the hour when we do news as well with any details to that. Anyway, we're here with Ben Proto, who is the Republican chair here in Connecticut. You said something that got a lot of people charged, Ben, and if I may, I want to play it for you. You can tell me what you make of it, because I think that it's how we should start the conversation. You remember this?
Look, do I think Donald Trump is a guy I want to have dinner with? Probably not. Probably nobody at this table wants to have dinner with Donald Trump, and that's fine. I have no issue with that.
So you got a lot of guff for that.
Yep. So did you play the other 60 minutes of the interview?
No, that's the part.
So without the other 60
Hold on.
No, we're not going there, Reese.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
See, I don't play that game, Reese.
Ben, stop for a second.
I don't take snippets of 60-minute interviews with 7 seconds.
I understand that, but you got to let me finish. You can be angry at it.
I'm not angry.
Okay, this is an important
It's stupid.
It's an important question to
No, it's
ask.
not.
Well, to you it's not, but I'm going to ask anyway. The question that I'm asking is that when you say that no one wants to have dinner with him, okay, you want to give the other part of that statement. If you want to give the other part of that statement, that's fine. But let me ask the question. When you tell people that, and when you say that to somebody, or when you say that to the people who voted for Donald Trump, that no one would want to have dinner with him, you do know that the only thing they're going to hear is that part, right?
But that's not what I said.
Well, what were you saying then? If it was taken out of context.
It was a 60-minute. I think it was either 30 or 60. It was election night. I was with Luke Bronin,
I know,
a far-left progressive.
Okay.
I was with 2 reporters who actually are a friend of mine but are very liberal.
Okay.
And it was quite frankly said as a joke. And it said that nobody at this table, the 3 of them, would want to have dinner with them. I said, heck, I wouldn't even want to have dinner with them. And it was somewhat jokingly. And the White House has taken it as a joke.
Okay.
So, but throughout that 60, I can't remember.
What was even as a joke, it's suggesting that Donald Trump draws ire from whomever is on the political spectrum. In essence, it gives the sense to the supporter of Donald Trump that Ben Proto, the guy who leads the Republicans of the state, doesn't like him. And you even said in the beginning, that's why I asked you. I know that you don't particularly like Donald Trump.
Do you
not particularly like him, or you do?
I've met him a number of times. I've been with him. I like him fine.
That's like saying I have black friends. Yes, you met him a couple of times.
So
when you say
so you need to understand something, Reese. And if we're going to play this game, I have no problem.
Why are you calling it a game?
Because it's a game.
No, sir, my intentions are not to make it a game.
I understand that may not be your intentions, but it's a game. Because unless you're going to go listen to the entire 30 or 60-minute interview where I spent almost the entire time talking about Donald Trump, how great Donald Trump is, how great his policies are, why I think he was the absolute right person to win that election, and why he was going to do great things for the state of Connecticut, and you take literally 6 seconds out of that, it's a game. And that's all it is a game.
Why
I don't play games. So here's the thing. In 2015,
Ben, with all due respect, you're not going to listen. You are not going to commandeer my show.
Well,
that's the first thing. We're not going to do that. So let's have an exchange.
So we can, but you got to let me answer the question.
I am. I thought I was.
So, but you keep talking over me.
No, I'm not letting you filibuster. Is what I'm doing.
No, I'm trying to answer the question.
Okay, go ahead and answer the question.
2015, I joined the Trump campaign. 2016, I ran the primary. I was on his payroll, ran the election in Connecticut. 2020, COVID, there wasn't a whole lot going in regards to campaigns, but I was involved in Connecticut. 2024, very involved in Connecticut, very involved nationally. I was the platform delegate floor leader for his platform. Mm-hmm. I was asked to serve as the chairman of the subcommittee on the Constitution to take on the issue of abortion. We chose ultimately not to do subcommittees at the platform. I was a whip on the floor, and I was invited by the president and his staff to sit in his box at the convention. Donald Trump doesn't do that to people he doesn't like.
Okay.
So, again, that's why I say when it's a game, people choose to take – we were just talking about this off the air, right? Social media is a sewer. You took 6 seconds out of 60 minutes.
It's an important 6 seconds.
No, it's really not. So, and that's
Ben,
that's the whole point. It's
you
really
gotta
not,
let me. Okay, I let you answer. Can I respond to what you just said? Can I do that? Okay, let me respond to what you just said. It's not to say that you didn't give a fair answer. It's not that you didn't even give It's not that you didn't give a complete answer. You did, but you have to answer this question to me, and it's real simple. People really believe that you do not like Donald Trump, and therefore that lack of enthusiasm for the commander-in-chief as the leader of this party, that you have this sort of antithesis behavior or relationship with the commander-in-chief here in Connecticut, and they think that it shows up in the way in which you represent them.
That's wrong.
Okay, no. And this is an opportunity to clear that air. You don't have to be defensive because I played a clip.
No, I'm not.
If you listen, the truth should Ben. The truth should be able to bear itself out through your representation. Now, this is the same thing I said to Gina Laurie, who was on this program, and I'll say it to everybody who's there. If you let the narrative dictate who you are and you don't respond to it, it will continue to dictate who you are. I brought you in here to answer the question to what people have said about your representation of the Republican Party, and here's your opportunity to defend it. Not get angry. If you're getting angry about it or defensive, you're yelling at me saying, I'm playing a game. I'm not I don't have any game to play.
Well, no, not you. I'm not saying you. I'm saying this is a question that's been asked time and time and time again and answered time and time and time again. Here's the thing, Reese.
Okay. And by the way, I don't want to hear about how many times you've been on this council or that council. No. It's just about your relationship with MAGA as it pertains to Connecticut and the Republican representative in here, because you know this, and I don't have to tell you that people, and for lack of a better phrasing, that people do not have faith in your leadership as a Republican chair. And I think that there's an opportunity here for you to let them know that you are representing them in a fair and in a reasonable and effective way. That's the only reason why you're here.
Right. Okay.
Go.
I work regularly with the Trump administration, with the White House political office. Regularly. I had a call with them today about Connecticut and what we can do to help make Connecticut more Republican through their help. I regularly work with the RNC. In matter of fact, the White House and Donald Trump signed off on my being the chairman of the Budget Committee. Trust me when I tell you, that would not happen if I did not have a good relationship with the president and the president's team and the White House, because they sign off on everything that occurs at the RNC. I'm proud to be a member of the RNC. I'm proud to be the chairman of the Budget Committee.
So you do not have any personal differences or animus towards Donald Trump that would give anybody the impression, or if they do have the impression right now, set the record straight, that you are on the same page with Donald Trump, with MAGA, as its representative here in the state. Yes or no?
Yes, I regularly am out talking about his policies and how they apply in Connecticut, why the big, beautiful bill is really good for Connecticut, why I think he did really great stuff for Connecticut in that bill, why I think his positions in regards to the southern border and illegal immigrants is tremendously helpful to the state of Connecticut, and why I think we should continue to move forward with that. Look, we just passed a housing bill in Connecticut because we don't have, according to the Democrats, some almost 200,000 units of housing, which is false.
I got a story that completely dispels that.
That's BS,
yeah.
Right? But here's the thing. When you look at the in-migration for Connecticut and the out-migration of Connecticut over the last probably 5 to 6 years, the vast majority of inflow in Connecticut has been people who are here illegally.
Right.
The people who are leaving Connecticut are people like me who were born and raised here, who we, particularly as we retire, we move out. So what does that bill do? That bill is primarily designed to provide housing for people who are illegally.
To do it in conservative areas.
Well, to do it in areas where it shouldn't be for a whole lot of reasons based on the reason for the bill, in air quotes.
Right.
Same thing like with the position they've just taken with the Trust Act and the no ICE arrests in courthouses. Mm-hmm. I've asked the question, no one's answered this question, Reese. Does the same thing apply to a federal marshal arresting you or I in a courthouse as a United States citizen?
That's right.
And the answer is no, it doesn't apply.
That's
they
correct.
can come in and arrest you and I in a courthouse in the state of Connecticut for a violation of a federal crime, which they should do if we violate a federal crime. But if you're illegal, ICE can't arrest you in the courthouse.
Exactly.
So they've given more rights to illegals than they have to citizens.
Talk about it every day here.
And so I've taken the position that Trump needs to do more in regards to particularly taking illegals who are here committing violent crimes, committing any crime in this against people, and deport them. I've taken the positions and I've supported the president's positions over and over and over again, to the point where I'll give you an example. Wednesday after Election Day, I had my staff track it. Mm-hmm. The number of calls that we got complaining that I'm too Trumpy from Republicans.
Okay.
And the calls I got that I'm not Trumpy enough.
Right.
So I kind of look at that and say, well, must be doing something right.
Right.
Because
you're down the middle.
I'm down the middle someplace on that. So, no, I regularly talk with the White House. I will be there in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I heard you're going to be there.
And meeting with the political office. I work very closely with the political office. So, look, people are going to believe what people want to believe. They're going to, as we talked off air, they will create facts to suit their ideology. The reality is I've been supportive of Donald Trump since he came down the escalator. I supported him in 2016. I supported him in 2020. I support him in 2024. I support him in 2025, and I'll support him going forward.
Now that we got that out of the way, let's get to this point. Many people believe that everything that you just did right here isn't happening enough. Now, I'm going to be very, very critical outside of the scope here, which I never, ever would do. Gosh, I'm going to say something. I just want to be made very, very clear. Before anybody says anything, yes, I know what I'm about to say is arrogant. Yes, I'm talking
just say it.
I'm talking to God now. Yes, I understand that what I'm about to say is arrogant.
That's right. I got this one.
Okay, good. You know you need to be here more often.
You've never invited me.
I've been inviting you for months.
I've never gotten an invitation.
I know. No one has reached out to you. But that's okay.
Well, then you haven't invited me.
No. I have invited you on this air, and I said anybody who knows Ben Proto, if he ever wants to come on this program, should come on the program. I don't know why they never reach you. Jonathan DeBarros is the first person to ever get what I wanted done to get you here. He's the one who's responsible for getting you here.
And Jonathan, as I understand, has been on the show a lot and listens to the show every day.
Listens to the show every day.
And he asked me a week ago. So,
but no. But he was the first person, I guess, when he was the first person to say, well, screw it, I'll give him a call.
But
no, I'm glad you're here. Yeah. I'm glad that you're here. But this is the point that I'm trying to make. This WTIC, aside from the fact that we're 100 years old and we are the landmark here in Connecticut, we represent conservatism in this on this network. No matter what anybody says about whether Brian is in the middle or anything like that, but as far as I'm concerned,
Brian's a great guy.
Yeah,
he does a great show.
Yeah, but this program is diehard conservative. I've been a conservative since I was 10 years old. However, I believe instead of talking about or complaining about the things that are ailing the folks in Connecticut, is getting a job done that people believe is impossible, and I think it's possible. I hate when people, like Han Solo says, never tell me the odds. I will fight for what it is I believe in. So what I'd like to do is to develop a relationship. You're fine. I want to develop a relationship with you so that you and I, as well as the Republicans in this state, can actually get the attention to the things that are important to us. Let's look, and I want to tell you right to your face, the networks, screw them. They're done. There's nothing you're going to get out of them. They don't care. They don't care about Republican policies. They don't care about Republicans here. They are blue just as much as the state is, but they don't care about what Republicans. what I want to do is start forging a relationship with the media that people do care about, and that's the independent media here in Connecticut. They have a louder voice. No one's watching the networks anymore. No. They're following our lead now. We tell stories on this show that they catch up with 3 weeks later. And I'm actually on the ground doing the stories, as I told you. I am actually in the street talking to people and talking to the people that matter. So what I want to do with you, Ben, is to get this show to actually help the cause to an audience that actually is listening. Nothing against the other guys you got relationships with, but I got to tell you that this place and what we're trying to do here needs you just as much as you need, well, we need you just as much as you need us. So what we want to do is so that people aren't running around saying that Ben Proto's not a MAGA guy or Ben Proto's not a Trump guy. There's a reason why people believe that. And the reason why is either you're not saying enough, right, or they're not listening enough. So let's just eliminate the question and just get answers.
Look, Reese, there isn't a single media request in 4 years that 4+ years that I've been chairman that I've said no to.
Good.
I've been on Fox. I've been on Newsmax. I've been on CNN. I'm on Channel 8, Channel 30, 61. I'm on Gary Byron. I'm on Lee Elsey. I've been on Brian Shackman. I do Vinnie Penn. I do Paul Pacelli. I'd love to come do your show. I will come if you want. You know, look, I don't know what your scheduling is, but normally it's if we could do call-ins, that's easy.
I can do a call-in. I like you in studio, but I know you live an hour away.
That's part of the problem. But that's no problem because I come up here for Shackman at 6:30.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you can make it down here, we want to get you down here. But here's the deal: that people look. This is a place, and I know this because I've seen it. Right? I got here a month ago, right? And I've broken more stories in a month that some of the people in this town have broken in years.
Yep.
And the reason why is because I care about the audience that I serve.
Yep.
I've considered myself, like you, a public servant. That's what I do here. I'm not coming here to, let's get on the microphone and complain today. I don't do that.
Yep.
And I believe that you really do want to change things here in the state. But they need to know. That's who they are.
Yep.
They need to know and see and hear what you're doing and what the plan is.
And look, this is what I have done on other shows, and I'm happy to do it here. I don't know that we need to do this every week.
No, I don't need to do it every week.
We do it once a month.
But when it's important, I want to be able to reach out to you and say, hey, Ben, let's come on the air.
You now have my cell number.
Okay.
And if you want to give me a call, anytime, Reese, I will go anywhere to talk to anybody about the Republican Party and why the Republican Party in Connecticut is the better party with the better ideas and can actually fix what's going on in this state. It's not Ned Lamont and the Democrats. Here, I will get into more of this. But, but here's my fun part, and let's. This is one of the things I've been talking about. During the shutdown, and as we got to November 1st, when the SNAP benefits and the WIC benefits were going to stop, and it was Ned Lamont and William Tong, my favorite attorney general in the world.
Too. I got plenty on that bozo.
And dear Senators Murphy and Blumenthal, who were complaining that Donald Trump and the Republicans were keeping poor women from buying food. Right? Well, of course, we were the ones who actually voted to fund it,
right?
And the Democrats obviously voted not to, but somehow it became our fault. But let's look at it this way. Do you know, and I know you know this because I know you do the research, 10% of Connecticut is on SNAP or WIC. Over 10%. About 400,000 people in the state of Connecticut receive SNAP or WIC because they can't afford to buy bread, milk, eggs, diapers, and formula for their children. So what was Ned Lamont's response to that? Not let's make Connecticut more affordable. Let's get those prices down.
Or get people off SNAP.
Let's increase the amount of money we give them so they can pay the higher prices.
Right.
Right? Seems counterintuitive to me.
It is 100%.
Right? But that's the Democrats' answer. Why? Because it's Ned Lamont and the Democrats who've given us the highest electric prices in the country. It's Ned Lamont and the Democrats who have given us the highest taxes in the country. It's Ned Lamont and the Democrats who have given us the highest labor rates in the country. It's Ned Lamont and it's one of the lowest wage growths in the country. It's Ned Lamont and the Democrats who have given us the highest property insurance and auto insurance rates, the highest health care costs and health premiums in the country. And somehow or another, his announcement, when he announced for the third term, he's going to make Connecticut more affordable.
I thought it was asinine that he said that he was running for a third term after he releases benefits for people who are on food stamps. Right. And I thought that, and again, he did it in a lackluster way. First of all, he did it on a Friday, which again, I'd say like, that's the worst media day ever.
That's why he did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly why.
They're not stupid.
No, exactly.
They're not stupid.
I was like, I call it's funny because I wrote a Substack that just says, it said, shh, I'm running for re-election. Exactly. Oh, darn, we got to take a break. I just realized what time it was. All right, Ben Proto is here. More news, more views, and Mr. Proto when we return. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio.
It's our birthday. WTIC has been on the air for 100 years. And we don't look a day over 98.
We are back with Ben Proto. He is the Republican chair here in Connecticut, hanging out with us. He and I are going back to our phones looking at this story in Washington, looking like they have a shooter in custody who has been shot. And so any other updates when we see them, we will let you know.
Prayers for the National Guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're just doing their job down there.
Indeed.
And they're doing a heck of a job. I've been down there. We were just talking about it off the air. They work in 4-person teams. They're very personable. They talk to people.
Yeah.
They're engaged with the people on the streets. They're doing a really, really good job.
They are moving monuments to our military, so to speak.
Exactly.
Right? It's like when you walk there, people want to take pictures with them.
Exactly. Exactly. So prayers to those two National Guardsmen.
Yeah. Tell people exactly what your job is to do, because many believe that your job is to get people elected. And when we had what took place, or as a lot of people call it, a shellacking of 2 weeks ago, you immediately become the fall guy. You become, Ben Proto's not doing his job. Ben Proto's not representing. So here's the chance to defend yourself. Ben Proto's not doing his job, you say?
I say, well, in 2021, when I was chairman and we won 23 towns, no one said I wasn't doing my job. Mm-hmm. So, look, here's the reality. Connecticut is a very unique state, as you know, Reese.
I call it the state. What I think the phrase that I said was, Connecticut can afford its politics, is what I said.
Right, and you could never take Connecticut's politics to 49 or 48 other states, probably Rhode Island, because they have a similar governmental system with towns. And so you've got 169 towns out there. In November, 168 of them had an election. The town of Union, a little town up on the Massachusetts border, has their election in May. So we had 168 towns have elections. Those towns and those elections are really run by the local town committee. We provide resources and tools to those town committees and to those campaigns. So we provide what is known as the walking app. So when you go door to door, we have the technology. We provide that free of charge. We provide a massive amount of data between what the RNC has built, which is over $1 billion in the last 10 years to develop our data, as well as our own data that we go out and buy and overlay on top of that on voter information, consumer information to help people better target voters and issues that may be of importance to them. We provide that. We provide a substantial amount of training to our town committees, to our candidates, to our treasurers, to our operatives. We did a number of those over the last year. We work with different groups, including the RNC and the Leadership Institute, which is a premier conservative campaign and political training organization founded by the great Morton Blackwell, who you probably know out of Virginia when you tell me you live in Virginia, back in the 70s. So those are some of the things that we provide. As well as the ability to put people in contact with other people. We provide vendor information. So if you need a mail house, a phone house, whatever, we can help you do that. So that's part of what we do is we provide resources. The way I describe it is this way. I build the road. It's your job as the candidate to drive down the road. So kind of look at it this way. I build the road, and I build you a really nice road. It's really smooth. I give you nice on-ramps, off-ramps, put some nice trees and plants, make it look pretty. And you drive off the road and hit the tree, and you blame me because I put the tree there. Which is and that goes with the territory.
It goes with the job.
It goes with the job, right? Because everybody, it's the one place where it flows up, not down.
Right.
And that's fine. I have no problem with that. It's as I used to be the town chairman in Stratford back in the late 90s. Yes, I've been doing this a very long time.
No, I know you have. I know your history.
When I left the job and my friend became the chairman, he said, "What should I expect?" I said, whenever you lose, it's your fault. Whenever you win, you had nothing to do with it. And which is, not uncommon. Par for the course in organizations like this. So our job is to help candidates. Our job is to help them run better campaigns, more efficient campaigns, amplify their message. One of the criticisms that we get is that the party has no message, which I disagree with. I think we have a very good message. The party's message is one of principles and values. The candidate's message is one of issues and position on issues, taxes, transgender care, whatever it might be. Pick an issue. Right. That's what candidates talk about. Our job is to create the principle and value, the bedrock and the foundation upon which Republican candidates can build their position. Right.
You're not telling candidites what their positions are. They are running their campaign based on that.
Right. As I always said, Donald Trump didn't run on the RNC message. The RNC amplified Donald Trump's message. It's my job. Right now we have two candidates for governor, Aaron Stewart, Ryan Fazio, two really great candidates, a brand new generation of leaders in this state. Either one of them would be a far better governor than
you. Got a favorite? No, I'm kidding.
I do. My favorite is Aaron Stewart or Ryan Fazio.
Gotcha. All right.
That's who I like. And under our rules, I can't have a favorite.
Right.
I'm not allowed to under our rules. The party is neutral until we have a candidate.
Right.
So our job is to help them do that and to help them build their campaign and help them run better campaigns. Help our town committees be better organized, to be in a better position to support whether it's the municipal candidates or their state rep or their state senate candidates, to help them better organize and be better political committees and political operatives.
So let's go to the $64,000 question, which again sort of drives at the criticisms of you. Mm-hmm. Why do you believe we got the failure of 2 Tuesdays ago? Why do you think, because you are the one who's got to go through that data?
Yeah. So I think there's a few reasons. Local campaigns, municipal elections are always decided by local issues. There's always one or two underlying local issues that occur in every town. I know in my town, where we've had a Republican mayor for the last 16 years, our mayor took on the fire and police unions. They came full bore out against her. They put money in against her, and that was a real problem. We look at some other places where Republicans, like, for instance, in Bristol and in Milford, two very important towns, two really great mayors down there, Jeff Caggiano in Bristol and Tony Giantasio in Milford, both of whom, when they became mayors, raised taxes. The reason they raised taxes was because the Democrats who had been there prior to them had so badly screwed up the town's finances.
It had to be done.
It had to be done in order to get the rating houses off their backs and to give them better bond ratings and better financial outlooks.
But it's enough to have you lose an election.
So it's enough to have you lose an election. And what did the Democrats run on against them? They raised taxes. Well, yeah, they raised taxes because you badly screwed it up 2 years ago or 4 years ago, that this is what they did. We also saw some issues where we looked at turnout. Republicans turned out at roughly the same number or same percentage that we saw in 23 and 21. Okay. Unaffiliated voters, and it's a term I hate, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a little bit, because I think you and I are on the same page.
We are on the same page.
That there's really no such thing. Turned out slightly higher than they had in the past. Democrats turned out substantially higher. Mm-hmm. In 125 towns that had mayor or first selectman races, turned out 58,000 more Democrats in 2025 than they did in 2023 or 2021.
Now, you and I have the same criticisms about Republicans in that election.
Yes.
And that was, here was an opportunity for them to show out regardless of the outcome. I started the day before, that Monday, I did an opening monologue. And the title of the opening monologue was Lose to Learn, Not Learn to Lose. And what I was saying was get out there. If you are a Republican, get out there and vote. But get out there to find out how much we need the next time around, even if we lose. Yep. Don't turn that loss into, say, that's why I never, ever get involved. You got to look at that and say, how well did we do this time versus last time? And to learn from your loss instead of learning to lose, so that the next time around, you know that you need to get more people motivated. We need more people in this town. This election is much more dire than that election. I'm going to get motivated. I'm going to bus people in if I have to, old ladies who can't get to the polling places. Those are the things that we need to learn from. You sort of feel the same way, that there were all of these people criticizing you but did nothing.
Right. So I'm going to say something that's going to probably upset or really PO some of your reader or your listeners.
Go ahead.
I get really tired, Reese, of reading the garbage on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I get really tired of listening to the people who call into shows like yours or the other talk shows and bitch, moan, and complain about things.
Okay.
And then I ask them, well, how many doors did you knock on? Well, none. Well, how many phone calls did you make? Well, none. Did you write a check to the local candidate? Well, no. That's why we lost. Get off the phones, get away from your keyboard, go down and meet your Republican town committee, ask, how can I help? What can I do? Can I go knock on a door? Can I make a phone call? Can I put a sign up? Can I go wave a sign? What can I do to help the candidate? Because calling in, Reese, as much as I like you getting your calls and it's what you do, and that's great, does not do a single thing, because ultimately at the end of the day, Reese, and I say this to Gary and I said this to Lee and I said it to my other conservative talk show hosts, you're talking in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking to people who already, in theory, believe, right? So you're going to vote Republican and the guy on the phone is going to vote Republican. Who did we convince?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. Get out and go knock on a door. Get involved in the campaign. In January 6th to January 13th, we will be electing new town committees. Both Republican and Democrats will be electing new town committees by caucuses in your town on our side. Go get involved in your town committee. You don't like what's going on in your town? You don't think the Republican Party is doing a good enough job in your town? Go get elected to the town committee. But here's the thing. You do that, you better damn well be prepared to go to work. You better be prepared to go knock on doors. You better be prepared to write checks. You better be prepared to make phone calls. You better be prepared to put up signs. You better be prepared to do the things we need to do to get people elected.
And with that, we're going to take a break. Thank you, Ben. I totally appreciate exactly what you just said. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the other side. Stand by. Ben Proto's here. He's a little fired up. It's Reese on the radio. Stand by.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Go down the street.
No, I appreciate you being here. I want to listen. Here's what I want to say based upon the last break. For those of you just joining us, we've got Ben Proto, RNC chair here, Republican chair in Connecticut.
Just if I don't mean to interrupt.
No. Is it you got an update on the?
It says the 2 guard troops were killed.
Damn.
In the shooting. That's from the New York Post.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Prayers.
Oh, yes, please. Prayers for their families. All right, that's well, I wonder what
that's a downer. I'm sorry.
It's okay, because that's going to change the whole dynamic of that whole bit in D.C., and I'm wondering exactly what the talking heads are going to say after that. But we'll keep everybody posted. I need to address what you just said a little while ago before the break, and that was, there has got to be an effort by individuals who sit idly by and do not understand that it is an effort by all. It's an uphill battle. And relying on just the elected officials to get people to vote may not be enough. A lot of people need to sort of give an effort as well, put a little skin in the game. That's kind of your beef here, right?
Yeah, look, politics and campaign is a participatory sport.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sitting on the sidelines, you're not in the game. If you're not in the game, you can't win.
Yeah.
And so, we try to get more people engaged in the game. One of the, and of course, again, because of where we are just from a media perspective with social media
sure.
and a lot of other things, the running joke is always that everybody thinks they're Karl Rove. And that they know best how to do this. And oftentimes they have really good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, some people who said, well, what we need to do now is we need to go knock on every Republican's door who didn't vote and find out why. I said, well, that's a really good idea, except let me ask you a question. If we couldn't get people to go knock on people's doors to ask them to come vote, how are we going to find people to go knock on people's doors to say, why didn't you vote?
Right.
So why don't you take that game plan you want to put in place, and rather than trying to put that in place over the next, month or so, put together an entire door-knocking campaign in your town, start putting that campaign together now, so come September, We have a full-blown campaign plan for a door-knocking program in the town of Farmington, where you live, right? Yeah. And what we're going to do and how we're going to break it up and how we're going to break these voting districts up and where do we need to go and where should we not be going? Because that's the other thing we often have on our side, Reese, is I get this a lot from candidates when we sit down and talk with them about some of the data we were talking about. Part of what we do is we model voters, just like Coca-Cola models their customers, GM models their customers. We model ours. And when I look at a voter who has voted in every Democrat primary in the last 10 years and has voted in every election in the last 10 years, I'm pretty sure I know who they're voting for. Same thing with a Republican. So when I look at somebody and said, this person, you're not going to change their mind, don't waste your time there. And I get back, no, I can convince them, right? It's like, no, you can't. And that doesn't make they're a bad person, but this is where they're at, right? Spend your time. And when I look at somebody who's voted in 10 straight Republican primaries and 10 straight elections, I'll look at a candidate and say, just remind them when Election Day is because they're coming to vote for you. You don't have to spend $10 on them. You just need to make sure, hey, don't forget, we don't have early voting, come vote. But the folks who are Republican-leaning, let's go talk to them. Yeah. Those folks who are, unaffiliated. Likely voters, likely voters and swing voters, let's go talk to them.
Yeah. Let's get our first check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center here with Ben Proto.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
People are already hating me having a conversation with you. You know that? No, I'm kidding. I'm playing.
That's right. I'm getting text messages saying I'm doing a good job.
Well, hey, you got to defend, you got to defend your position. Like I said, I wanted you here because, one, I think that you need this relationship more than you believe or know. Look, nothing against Brian. Brian's the, he's the linchpin, the anchor of this network. He's the morning show. And I'm just, I'm the afternoon schmo. But you get more opportunity here to express the things that matter to you and to answer the questions that the listeners and the people who are the diehards want to know. You made a very, very good point earlier about, a lot of people criticizing you, but some of the numbers as far as registration for Republicans are up. Talk about that in a minute if you can.
Sure. So we're seeing registration up among Republicans. We're seeing it across the country. We're seeing Democrat registration down. We're seeing unaffiliated, and as you and I talked about, we don't believe anybody's truly unaffiliated.
They have a side.
They have a side. They just don't put a letter after their name. That's okay. And that's God bless you. That's your God-given right in this country. But one of the interesting things is a lot of people say, well, you need to do more voter registration drives. And I say, well, okay, you understand that Connecticut has one of the highest voter age to registration percentages in the country, well over 80%, about 84% are registered to vote. That's a phenomenal number, and I'm very proud of that for the state of Connecticut. Right. Forget Republican or Democrat, that we have those. So when you're trying to talk about converting people to Republican, it's really not so much registering new voters, which is important to do, but you have to convince someone to change their registration, which is very difficult to do. That is. Right? Even if they're, like you said, you had to call, I'm a Democrat, but I voted Republican. But he's still a Democrat. Right. He didn't go down to town hall and change his registration that he's probably been registered as since he turned 18 years old, right? Like most of us have been. It's one of the things I get, when they show up at a primary and they told me I'm not a registered Republican. I vote Republican in every election. I said, yeah, but when you were 18, you registered as a Democrat and you never changed your registration. Yeah. So you're still a Democrat. Yeah. Right? So it's important to know what you're registered as. I think the gentleman had asked, how do we know who voted? Each of the 169 towns have to go through their list and create what's called the who voted list. That's turned over to the Secretary of State and put into the master list.
And that you use.
That we will get in January.
Let's get to weather and traffic. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, hanging out with us today is Ben Proto, Republican chair. We were talking about behind the scenes that one of the things we were going to discuss was how much of your time do you depend? I mean, are you working as the RNC chair? Well, the chair of the Republican Party here in Connecticut. You have a full-time job as an attorney, and you do that. What is that? 40 hours a week? I'm assuming.
So basically, it's pretty close to full time. Being chairman is pretty close to full time.
Right.
Our office is in Middletown. My home and my law office is in Stratford.
Mm-hmm.
What I try to do is spend probably 2.5 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings in Stratford, doing both law work and party work, and then Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, Fridays in Middletown doing more party work, but some law work.
Okay.
I've got we have a very small staff. I have 1.5 employees who are just great. They are, the heart and soul of that office. They're really good at what they do, and they keep me out of trouble. We've always had a small staff in the Connecticut Republican Party. Even before I was chairman, it's always been like 2 people. Again, it's a money situation. It's a financial situation. One of the things people forget about the party is that we're a business, and we have every cost structure. We pay property taxes.
Wow.
We're a business. I have we pay on our copy machine, on our just like every other business pays personal property tax. Like right. WTIC pays property taxes on all of this equipment here. We do the same thing. We have payroll. We have payroll taxes, Social Security, unemployment. We have our insurances. We have to have our comp insurance, our unemployment insurance, our liability insurance, our rent, our utilities, our overhead. It's just like any other business. So we're a full-time business. And that's one. And what's interesting, a couple of years ago, Nancy DiNardo, who was then the chairman of the Connecticut Democrat Party, a dear friend of mine, I know that really upsets people.
It does.
I have friends who are Democrats. God forbid we should have friends who are Democrats. And I went to the legislature together and asked them to increase our maximum contribution, which had not been raised in almost 20 years, from $10,000. We had asked them to take it to $20,000. They agreed to take it to $15,000. And we have severe limitations. We have some of the most restrictive campaign finance laws in the country in Connecticut. And Matt Blumenthal, who's the chair of the House chair of the Government Administrations and Elections Commission.
Isn't that Dick's son?
Yes, that's Dick's son. They have jurisdiction over the political parties through the campaign finance laws. And Matt asked a question. He said, Mr. Chairman, he said, I'm not kind of getting this a little bit. Why do you need the increase? And okay, fair question. I said, well, Chairman, you do understand we're a business. He said, what do you mean? I went through all of those things. I said, when you open your campaign committee, you open it December or January of the year before the election, and you close it in December after the election. I'm 24/7, 365 days a year. I said, do you know that we pay property taxes in Middletown and the Democrats pay property taxes in Hartford? And he looked at us and said, you do what? I said, like any other business.
Wow, he didn't even understand
it. He didn't, right? Because it's not what they do.
Right.
Right? That's not what they do. And I understand that, and I wasn't criticizing him for that. It's not what he does. He runs a candidate committee that opens and closes.
Right.
And so it's. I think there's that kind of lack of understanding of that point that we're a business. We have operating costs every day to keep the lights on. And Democrats, same thing, operating costs every day to keep the lights on.
Let me clear up something. So it is often suggested that, when you talked about being friends with Democrats, that one of the biggest problems, not even just you, that many people believe that about Republicans overall, be it Senate, legislative, whatever, is that these cozy relationships sort of build this uniparty idea and the Greenwich party scene where everybody's going to parties together, just smoozing and really, really just screwing the average voter. What do you say to that criticism that Ben Proto isn't doing the work and he's just smoozing at dinner parties in Greenwich? You got to answer it because people are asking.
I've never been to a dinner party in Greenwich.
But they think that you have.
I know.
I told you, if you let them, listen to me, what you're learning here now is if they dictate who you are, they get to tell you who you are. If you don't defend yourself, that's who you are.
And I've had this conversation with a lot. So, when I first became chairman in 2021, Nancy DiNardo, who was then the Democrat chairman, and I were
your best friend, apparently.
My best friend. We're like this. And truthfully, Nancy and I have known each other over 30 years.
Right.
And she lives in Trumbull. I live in Stratford. We've literally known each other over 30 years. And so she and I were doing a Sunday morning talk show. We were taping, as you know, those tape on Thursday afternoons. Mm-hmm. So she and I were at Channel 3. It was actually Channel 3. And it was in November. It was actually late October. And the segment after us was the executive director of Connecticut Food Share.
Oh, yeah. Jason Jabukowski.
Right. And I had never met Jason. I was new to the job. And so he was sitting in the green room with us, and Nancy introduced me to Jason. And we had a very nice conversation. And we're getting ready to leave, and Jason looks at us and says, hey, would you guys do something for me? And we said, well, if we can, what? He says, would the both of you come on the day we launch the November Feed Connecticut for Thanksgiving program and help us launch that together?
Mm-hmm.
I said, of course.
Sure.
I think we can all agree feeding hungry people
is a bipartisan issue.
It's a pretty bipartisan issue, right? So Nancy and I agreed to do that, and it was over at the Gold Building in Hartford. Bank of America was the sponsor, still a great cause, right? Mm. So we go to do it. Well, the segment before us on the show is Governor Lamont. So Governor Lamont is helping kick it off as well. So he does his segment. Nancy and I come on. We do our segment. We get all done doing it, and as is usually the case in these things, Bank of America and Food Share said, can we do a photo in front of the banner? Right? And, of course, absolutely, we're here to promote Feed Connecticut. So we do the photo, right? And the governor and I are talking, and somebody asked him a question. It was along the lines, hey, Governor, you really don't get along with Proto, do you? Something along those lines. And the governor, did one of these, we're just always doing this, and I did this, right? Well, that is the picture that my dear friend Mark Pasniokis ran in Connecticut Mirror, which you've probably seen 1,000 times.
I've seen the
right?
picture.
And people go, look at that. I said, yep, because the governor and I were supporting and promoting Feed Connecticut. So is that a bad thing that we're doing that together? And my answer is no. That's, I think, an important part of what we as political parties and political leaders do. When there is an issue that we can come together on, we should. Mm-hmm. And I think we can agree feeding people and helping them through the holidays is an important issue. So, yeah, and like I said, and, I've been with the governor on other occasions. We've been at events together, And
that's what draws the ire of Republicans.
Right, because God forbid I should talk to the Democrat governor, and first of all.
Do they think that, let me ask you this, do you think that, in your opinion, that aside from just taking it as the criticism, right? You could be upset about them constantly criticizing you for it. But I want to know in an analytical way, do you think that they're criticizing you because they want you to be like barking at Lamont every time you see him, or are you not supposed to? Do you think that they don't want you to even be seen 10 feet next to him? Like, do you think that's what it is?
I think they don't want me to be like anywhere near. If I'm someplace, so I'll give you another example. Before Jody Rell, who was former governor, who I worked for Governor Rell when she was in the House, and I worked up in the House many years ago, and Jody and I were good friends. I got invited to, she has up at Central Connecticut, there's the Jody Rell Center for Political Studies. And she was doing a discussion with Governor Lamont.
Okay.
And I was asked to attend, to be in the audience and come to the prior cocktail party. And the governor was there. And, and the governor comes up and he goes, oh, it's Proto. He says, I can't come near him because we'll both get in trouble. We'll both get in trouble.
Wow.
And I just looked at him and I said, well, Governor, he said, I'm not sure who will get in trouble more, you or me. And he goes, oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to be you. But so we kind of get the joke a little bit because, again, politics at the end of the day is about human interaction. Mm-hmm. And,
do they think now, if you, God, this is probably the worst question I could ask. If you had to guess, because of the fact that you get so much ire on this, what do you think they want you to do when you see Lamont? Do they think they want you to deck him? Like what? Do you really believe? Like, what's the level of which you think would finally satisfy your critics?
Like in that cocktail party, stand up and start screaming at him about his crap position on the housing bill.
Okay. By the way, folks, if you believe that's what, if you want to tell me in the chat room right now on YouTube or on ReeseOnTheRadio.com what it would get for Ben Proto to win your graces the next time he's in a room with Governor Lamont or, who's another one? Dick Blumenthal or Rosa DeLauro.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
So we had the inauguration in January.
Okay.
Right? Up until the day before, or it's that Saturday before the inauguration was going to be held outdoors like it always is, and it became very, very cold, and they decided to move it inside. Do you know who gets all the tickets for the inauguration?
I'm assuming the party of the president.
No, because the inauguration is not run by the party, nor is it run by the president. It's run by Congress.
Oh, fair. Okay.
So who do you think gets all the tickets?
Probably congressional family members or
the congressmen and the senators.
Right.
We have any Republican congressmen or senators in Connecticut?
Oh, you're talking about. I'm sorry. You're talking about Lamont's. You're talking about Lamont's inauguration.
No. I'm talking about President Trump's inauguration.
Oh, really?
Yep. The members of Congress get the tickets.
Oh, you're talking about. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm confusing what you're talking about. Either Washington or we're talking about Connecticut.
We're talking about the human interaction.
Right.
So, the 5 Democrat congressmen and Dick Blumenthal and Dick and Chris Murphy get the tickets to the swearing in at the Capitol because it's run by Congress.
Correct.
Okay.
By the way, neither of them attended, or maybe Chris Murphy didn't attend.
I'm not sure.
Chris Murphy did not.
Okay. Do you know that all 7 of them worked very closely with our office to distribute tickets to Republicans in the state of Connecticut who wanted to go to the inauguration? Because that was the only way they were going to be able to go. And they were tremendously helpful on that. Again, I don't agree with Dick or Chris on pretty much anything politically. But when we reached out to them, they're all 7 of them. Let us know what we can do to help. Let us know how many you need. Let us know. And the members of Congress they said, look, we would prefer to give them to people in our district. That's fine. Understood that. Everybody who had a ticket, unfortunately, they ended up not doing it outside because of the weather. Those tickets came from the 7 members of Congress in the state of Connecticut, all Democrats that went to Republican people who wanted to go down to see Donald Trump take the oath.
Fair. Okay.
Right? Now, if we really played that game the way people wanted to, all 7 of them would have looked at me and told me to go jump. But they didn't. They all worked very closely with us. And the funny part about it was when I went down to Washington and I had to go pick up the tickets from Senator Murphy's office and Senator Blumenthal's office, we had a bit of a joke going when I was with with Senator Murphy's chief of staff. And I said, look, I really appreciate all you've done. This has been tremendously helpful. She goes, Ben says, we're happy to do it. We know, we got a lot of people here in Connecticut who support the president. We all understand our positions on this, but if this is what our constituents want, we're going to try to help them. I said, yep. And she says, I know. And on Monday, we'll go back to beating each other up.
Yeah, that's exactly what it should be like.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing when, Dick Blumenthal was in his office when I went there. We had a very nice conversation. He was very helpful with that. And he kind of made the same joke. He goes, yeah, I know, on Monday. He says, I said, Senator, Monday I'll beat you up again on something because you'll do something and I'll beat you up. He goes, yeah, but that's how it is, right? Because without that, no one in Connecticut would have been able to be in Washington to have seen that. Now, unfortunately, they weren't able to because of the weather and what ultimately was decided.
Right.
But had it been a beautiful day, we probably had 2,500 tickets, 2,500 people that had gone down to Washington because of those 7 people who gave us those tickets. So you have to remember, at the end of the day, it's like any other business transaction in a lot of ways. You may not, or as an attorney, I've got an adversary on the other side of me who I have to go against. And I think it's important to understand the difference between an adversary and an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
There's often times when we cross the line, and, I've had people call me with issues that they couldn't solve. I don't have a federal person to call. I'll call one of the members of Congress or Senator Blumenthal or Senator Murphy and say, hey, I had somebody call me, they're a constituent, and they'll take it over. I can't help them, right? Because I'm not a member of Congress. I don't have that kind of pull down there. but I know where I can go to get the help for people, and I think oftentimes that's important to know how to go about getting help that people need. And ultimately, when we look at Connecticut, do I want Republican members of Congress? Absolutely. But until I get one, this is who I have to deal with, and this is who we have to work with. So if you have a federal issue that you need help with,
you're going to have to reach out to the people.
I got to reach out to John Larson for you, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because Farmington is the first district, right?
Yeah.
So I'd have to reach out to John, or you'd have to reach out to John. And I'm pretty sure John will help you.
No, John's a good guy.
Right?
May not like him politically, but he's a good guy. Hey, I said it all the time. People like when I met John Larson, I was just like, I cannot believe that I like this guy.
Right.
Because politically, I think he's a whack job. But I really do like him. And every time I gauge him, he's the nicest guy ever.
Yep.
We got to take a break. Let's get weather and traffic again. Mark Christopher's getting you home. Okay, he's not ready yet. He'll be there in a second. We'll talk a little bit more. Guys, by the way, stop texting me. I said everybody go in the chat room. You got to tell me what it is that Ben Proto could do to win your graces. And I'll read them all. Just don't curse, because I'm not going to read the curse word on there. But just if you've got something to say to him on how he could win your, I don't know, good, graces or whatever, or ingratiate himself, just let me know in the chat room. Go to YouTube or go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Now, let's get to Mark. No, he's maybe not yet. He's still giving traffic at one of our sister stations. Maybe he'll be with us in a second. Ben Proto is with us. More questions. We're going to get him another half an hour. And now we'll go to Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, it's Reese on the Radio. We still got Ben Proto. We got weather and traffic coming up in about 2 minutes. Are you still looking at? Are you looking at anything more on that?
No,
okay.
I was just checking.
Yeah. We're going to bring you back in a second because if I start talking to you now, we'll go run over and we'll kick out Mark Christopher in BPS Traffic Center. So I don't want to push him out. You and I were behind the scenes talking about Jonathan DeBarros. We don't have to litigate that here, but you made a lot of good points. In fact, I'm going to talk to Jonathan myself afterwards, but I'm glad that you set me straight on that. That was a good conversation we had about that because it's a lot of things that I think are missing. When we come back, I want you to address a couple of things that you wanted to talk about a couple of breaks ago. I want to do that, but I also want to talk to you about something that I think that the Republican Party is failing all over the country, primarily with minority outreach. And, the analogy that I give, or sort of the comparison that I always say, when my wife starts crying, I don't know how to operate her. Right? So I always.
I'm glad you said that, not me.
So when she starts crying, I immediately operational tip, and I walk over to her and I just pat her.
Will Robinson.
Exactly.
Danger, Will Robinson.
I start patting her on the head. And I'm like, they're there. I don't know how to operate her, and I kind of feel like that's the Republican Party is as an operational issue when it comes to outreach in the minority communities. And I think I asked you before, and I want to talk about it on the air. If it's lacking, why do you think that is, and how can we repair it? And I want to also offer up some advice on how to do that as well. So we'll talk about some other things and keep you here for another bit to talk about that. Some of the comments that are coming in are not asking the question that I asked them to ask. One person says, Dave is saying that my wife and I changed our party to Republican. The progressive Democrats have lost their minds. Just want to say that I truly believe that bipartisan politics are crucial to getting anything done. I think that Ben is doing a great job.
Thank you.
That's interesting to come from my audience. I mean, so, whatever you're doing here, I think it's helping you, even though you still have the hardcore critics. You're not going to please everybody. No. You said something interesting. You just said, you don't listen to criticism of you because you just see it as noise. You like effort. You like actual moving the needle. So criticizing you you know what? I'm not going to lie, Ben. I think you and I are a lot alike. Because
we're both good looking.
Yeah, well, that's true. But no, people say stuff and they think my ex-wife used to do all the time. She used to say the worst things about me. You've got a little thing, and I go, yeah. I was like, she would say,
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly.
Served its purpose.
She would scream and holler the most obscene things to me, and it never affected me. And she was like, why does it never affect you? And I'm just like, because that's just words. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Sticks and stones.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be back. Ben Proto's here. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher's here. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Danger.
Now, I know Roseanne wasn't crying today.
No. She was having a... Wait a minute. Hold on. Now I got to understand why.
Well...
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this.
It's Reese on the radio.
Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080, WTIC.
And they never will be. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080, hanging out with Ben Proto, Republican chair here in Connecticut. I want to get this out of the way real quick because... This is something that is a contentious thing on this program. I know that you've got look at it. You got the picture. Give it to me. Give it to me. Okay. So a very contentious thing about you, Proto, is the fact that there was you were doing radio interviews after the election?
No, it was It was in Milwaukee during the convention.
Okay,
just before the convention started. Right. It was a Monday, if I recall.
So you were doing interviews, and you had done 3 of them in, succession, right? One after the other, early in the morning, and you made an admitted mistake that you contacted the White House about immediately when you did it, because when you realized afterwards, you said, holy crap, I did this. Explain what it was briefly that you did that was true.
So it was, I believe, the Monday after the Butler situation, because we were coming right into the convention.
It's right afterwards,
Right. That was on Saturday, and we were doing Monday. Monday or Tuesday, I forget what day it was. It was actually, I think, the first day of the convention was probably Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing 3 interviews that morning. Literally, I did Canadian broadcasting, I did a national radio show, and then I did a show in Connecticut. And it was like 6:30 in the morning, and I forget what the question was, and I had been talking about something Biden had talked about and saying that he didn't want to do something,
right?
And I made the comment. The question got asked about fight or something. I forget how it was worded, and I said, "Oh yeah." They said they asked us not to talk about that, right? And as soon as I said it, I said. And I got off the air, and it's like
something along the lines of that Trump had regretted using the words
something like that.
Fight. Yeah.
And I was meant to be talking about something Biden had talked about.
That's okay. You're good.
About regretting having done something that I had talked about on Canadian and the other show. For whatever reason, the Canadian broadcast company likes to have me on their morning show, which is interesting. As soon as I got off the air, I called the Trump communication team and said, hey, guys, I just made a really bad misstatement on a show in Connecticut. This is what I said. What do you want me to do? You want me to put out a statement? You want me to go on the air? Do you want to put something out?
Because you were worried about it getting legs.
Right, getting legs, right. And they got back to me. They said, we'll get back to you. Let's see what the situation is. They got back to me, and they said, don't worry about it. We're not going to do anything with it. We'll just move on from it. And I said, okay, whatever you guys want me to do. You want me to – I'll go do the whole mea culpa thing, whatever. I'll take the hit on it. I made the mistake. No ifs, ands. I admit when I make mistakes. Nope, don't worry about it. Later that night is when I was invited to sit in the president's box after having said that. So I kind of got the impression that was
okay. No harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul. They were not concerned about it.
Now I got to tell you that you know what I'm telling you to address this.
Yep.
What did I tell you in the beginning?
Yeah.
If you let other people narrate your story, they'll do it. They'll be happy to.
Yep.
And they have taken both of those things, from the not having dinner to the Donald Trump regretted fight, to say Ben Proto doesn't like Donald Trump, doesn't support his causes, and you're anti-Trump.
Right.
Cleared up now.
Yep. And, I don't know that anybody will believe it.
I don't care.
Neither do I. Like I told you, to me it's noise.
Now,
okay,
so this is the last break I've got you. So I want to talk about, this is important to me.
Yep.
Of course, not that, again, I'm a man of color. I was a conservative at 10 years old. I was inspired by, Rendezvous with Destiny, the famous speech by Ronald Reagan. Yep. I own that book. It is one of my favorite speeches, and he is by far my favorite president. I wasn't old enough to vote when I was inspired by Ronald Reagan. He is why I'm a conservative. And I knew that one of the biggest problems Ronald Reagan had was that even then he was criticized by people, especially in places like the NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a book of Ronald Reagan's diaries, and I read a letter that he wrote to the head of the NAACP at the time, which, by the way, is one of the most beautiful letters I've ever read about one.
He wrote beautiful letters.
He did. He wrote great letters.
He loved to write letters.
Communicator indeed.
Yes.
So one of the problems I've always had growing up was the fact that I don't know what it was about me that made Ronald Reagan speak to me from my community living in inner city Hollis. But he did, and I knew that he could for others if they had listened to him the way that I did.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest problem we've had as conservatives, I believe, is the outreach in the inner city. Do you deal with that in any way, or how are you dealing with it in a meaningful way? Is that something you guys are pursuing?
Yes, and I not only here in Connecticut but across the country. We know what Donald Trump did in 2024 in the Hispanic community and the African American communities. We saw in 2024 in Connecticut that we did a better job in the cities here in Connecticut into our totals. Here's the interesting thing: people will demand from me this question: how are we going to win in the cities?
Yeah.
And I asked them a question back: define winning. I said, if you define winning as getting 50% plus one of the vote, the answer is never.
Right.
If you define winning as going from 19% to 23%, where we still lost 3-1,
yeah,
that's winning.
Right.
To me, that's winning.
All things considered, you're right.
Right, because when I look at, when we're trying to build 50% plus one in a gubernatorial election or a statewide election, moving the needle in Bridgeport and Hartford and New Haven and Stamford and Groton and Waterbury 3 or 4 percentage points is a huge difference. And we're still losing 3-1.
Okay, see, you are a philosophy that I am. So I worked on the Glenn Youngkin campaign in Virginia.
My guest speaker at my Bush dinner this year.
So
he's a great guy.
He is a great guy. So we said that the only way Youngkin was going to win was if he got above 43% in Loudoun County. And the premise of that was going to be the whole, transgender bathroom issue.
Right.
He didn't have to win Loudoun because Loudoun is a D.C. suburb. Right. Even though it's in Virginia, he didn't have to win it.
Right.
He had to do better than 43%. He did 45,
yep,
which guaranteed him the election.
Right.
Prince William County, before him, no Republican was canvassing Prince William County, which was the town I lived in.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere on election day, Glenn Youngkin signs were everywhere in Woodbridge, which again said all he had to do was get 35% of that. Right. So you're 100% right. I agree with you.
It's defining winning.
Yeah.
And obviously statewide, we know what we need to do for that. The question is, how do you cobble together those votes over the 169 towns? And again, it kind of gets back to the conversation we had earlier. Without regional political geography, it's literally trying to do this town by town by town by town, which is very difficult because when you look at a town like Stratford and you look at a town like Farmington, well, the two really don't have a lot in common except that they're both in the state of Connecticut and they're probably both maybe a little more affluent than their surrounding urban center.
Sure.
Other than that, so how do you do that when you don't have that regional county, when, like you were just talking about what he had to do in those counties.
Right, exactly.
Right? So when I look at Connecticut, and I got 169 towns, and this is, again, part of what I try to get across to candidates and campaigns in a statewide race, there are probably 25 towns in Connecticut that are going to determine the outcome of this race, right? And the question is, how do we take the numbers in those towns from 2022 and increase the percentages? It may not be winning in that town, getting 50% plus one, but it may be we got 41%. How do we get to 44%?
Right.
And what do we need to do that?
What about the outreach in those communities?
The outreach in those communities. So over the last year or so, I've been spending a lot of time with the Hispanic community. And I will readily admit I'm trying to find access into the African American community. But the Hispanic community is probably the fastest growing community in the state of Connecticut.
They're 2-1.
Right. If we look at the 2010 census and the 2020 census, the African American community and population stayed pretty stagnant at around 13%.
Actually dropped a little.
A little bit, but it was roughly around that number.
Yeah.
The Hispanic community moved from about 12% to almost 20%.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus that I've been on, and I have good fortune to have been able to outreach with the Hispanic religious leaders in the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
Because they're the key.
Okay.
The religious community within the Hispanic community is really a key component. The Hispanic community is probably more closely aligned with the Republican philosophy than they are with Democrats.
Indeed.
And I think realistically, and I'm not going to speak for the African American community, I'm not part of it, you can do that. But I would suggest.
No, I can't.
I would suggest that the African American community is probably more closer to the center
Yeah,
than they are to the left.
Yes, agreed.
And so, for instance, I'm going to go down a really bad rabbit hole here.
Why not? What's that?
Okay, abortion.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, it is a killer issue for Republicans in
Always
the state of Connecticut. 65% of the population, 65% of voters support the Roe decision in Connecticut. We know that, right? What's interesting about Connecticut is we are one of the few states without a parental notification or parental consent law. Massachusetts has one, which is far more liberal than we are, if that's at all possible, right? But so when I talk to candidates about talking about abortion, do not get into I'm pro-life, pro-choice. Mm-hmm. Talk about it this way. Someone needs to explain to me why over a third of all abortions in the state of Connecticut are performed on women of color.
Great point. And then talk about the population numbers that are going down.
The population numbers that are going down. Let's talk about, okay, why is that? Why is it that women of color are having more unwanted pregnancies? What are we not doing? Would we be better off if you want to? Let's do this. But you want to talk about women's reproductive health care. The Democrats want to make that about a single issue, abortion. We need to talk about it differently. We need to talk about complete health care for women, right? We need to talk about how do we get them more mammograms? How do we get them more pap smears? How do we get them more in tune to birth control methodologies, right? You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Oh, by the way, you know who has the highest rate of prostate cancer in this country?
African Americans.
African American men, right? What are we doing about that? I know, hey, that's not sexy because of where it is on the body, right? I get it, as opposed to breast cancer, very sexy. Right. Prostate cancer, not so much. But the highest rate of prostate cancer is among African American men. When they start bringing this up, turn it around on them, saying, why are you not addressing these issues? Look, abortion is codified in the state of Connecticut.
Right.
The Roe standard is codified in the state of Connecticut. It's not going anywhere.
Right. It's not an issue here.
Right. They want to make it an issue.
Right.
I understand that because it's an emotional issue.
Right.
So then let's talk about those issues that actually impact reproductive health care in women.
I'd say right now, I just read a report not too long ago talking about the mortality rate of pregnant women in Connecticut for African American women going down and it being more dangerous for African American women in the state of Connecticut.
Yes.
That is something Republicans can work with.
We want to talk about health care and health care reform. There's a lot of things we can talk about. There's a lot of things that we can actually do to help the population in the state of Connecticut, be they black, white, Hispanic, Asian, doesn't matter. What are some of the things we can do? I have no issue, and some people may look at me and say, "I ain't damn liberal." I have no issue when we used to have the mammogram vans that used to go into the inner cities, right, and provide free mammograms, provide free pap smears to inner city women because they didn't have access to an OBGYN, right? Why aren't we doing that for African American men, right? I get the test. We both,
no, it's a good point,
right?
It is a good point
because. So what are we doing about health care for poor babies, right? Yeah. We talk about this, but we still have a high infant mortality rate in this state, particularly among African American babies. It's still one of the most dangerous things that a human body can do is to give birth. We don't talk about that. So if you want to have the conversation, Don't talk about that which is already the law, not going to change, no matter who the governor is and no matter what the legislature looks like. It's never going to change. Right. Let's talk about the issues that actually impact the African-American community. Let's talk about the issues that actually impact the Hispanic community, the Asian community, the Indian communities. Those are all growing communities in this state. And the Democrats want to lump them all together and say, you won't let them have an abortion.
I hear you.
Right?
You've got let me say this. I think that this was a productive first introduction between the both of us. Mm-hmm. I want to continue it. And you know what? I'll give you the time on that. I think this was productive. I would have hated doing just 1 hour with you, or even for a half an hour. So we'll make this happen more in the future. Okay?
Whenever you want me to come on, Reese, I said, if you want me to call in, if you got like a particular issue that's come up,
I'll give you a holler.
Give me a holler. We do 10 minutes on the phone.
Without a doubt.
And then if you want me to come in, I'm happy to come in and do this. I love doing radio. I think radio's great. I absolutely love doing radio.
Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Ben Proto, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Get on the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Get on the phones. It's Hollywood News with your correspondent, Reese on the radio. All the glitz and all the glamour. It's Hollywood News. I got to curse out Ben. Ben actually hit my camera, and now my camera's facing out. He's flailing all of his arms. He knocked the camera. I got to fix it during the commercial break. I didn't realize it was that low. Anyway, today in Hollywood News, I didn't know this, but do you know what the president's favorite movie is? And he is excited to have a sequel made?
Yeah, Rush Hour.
Yeah, did you hear that? I couldn't believe that. I'm like, he liked Rush Hour that much that he actually talked the folks over at Paramount to make a fourth movie.
Well, they wanted to make it anyway. They just
did they really?
They just have a reason why. Now they have a reason why.
I didn't realize, but do you know, like, what's so crazy is the first movie made over 240-something million. Mm-hmm. The second one made more money than that.
Yep.
The third one made just more than the first one.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the third one was garbage, but it still made over $250 million.
If you watch the bloopers at the end of the third one, they kicked the guy out the window.
That's part two.
And
that's part two. When he kicked him out the window and he said he ain't going to be in Rush Hour 3.
That was part two. Okay,
that's my favorite line.
Yeah.
He ain't going to be in Rush Hour 3.
That was funny.
But, I'm glad that actually, because I was thinking about this, but the president's favorite movies, Bill Clinton's favorite movie, or the movie that he was really excited about, was Air Force One. That came out during. Did you ever see that?
With Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
I've seen every movie with Harrison Ford.
You've seen every movie with Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
Even regarding Henry?
Even regarding Henry.
You saw that?
Yes,
really?
Yes, I have.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that was sad. That was a sad movie,
That's sad, but it's a great uplifting movie.
Yeah, but it's like, dang, man, why it had to happen like that to him?
Yeah, but I still love that movie.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Let's get a check of weather and traffic, and I can fix my camera. Mark Christopher, who we know has never seen. Come on,
he's seen Regarding Henry.
He had to have at least seen Regarding.
No. Oh my God.
Okay, can you name real quick how many Harrison Ford movies you have seen?
I know.
Aside from Star Wars.
No. He's seen Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Nope.
No.
Oh my God.
That's it. This conversation's over.
Out of here. I am out of here.
We are done.
Nope. I haven't seen it.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. We'll get to the phones. There's a lot of comments that are coming with the interview with Ben Proto. Stevie V says, for the most part, I do appreciate what Ben is saying. He most likely knows my friends Stephen Soma and Tony D. Armelo. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that poorly. Zach says, with Blumenthal, Lamont, etc., Mr. Proto doesn't have to do anything. Though, for Murphy, oh boy. But we're better than that. But I would love to see him ask Murphy which color crayon is the tastiest. Reagan and Tip O'Neill would get together and had a good relationship with one another. It is in my mind the way it should be. Perhaps an exception is Chris Murphy. People just don't like that guy. They just don't. This one comes from Lynn. Says Proto says he wants to get along with the Democrats who are destroying our state. We need the 300,000 illegal immigrants deported immediately. We need our good-paying manufacturing jobs back. Well, I think Ben knows that, but he's listening, so I'm pretty sure he's hearing me say that now. Why are they afraid to ask the other side the tough questions like you? We all talk about work while not at work. Why can't they? That's also true. Matty O is on the phones. What's going on, sir?
Hello, Mr. Hopkins. How you doing?
Pretty good. What did you think?
So, I did like the interview. I think he did a great job. But here's my problem with Ben Proto. With the same problem I've had with everyone that was the head of the RNC in Connecticut, is they always blame the people for not getting involved. But I'll tell you what, when Bob Stefanowski was running for office,
for governor,
me and a million other people tried to get lawn signs. We tried to get out there door knocking, and it fell on deaf ears. We could not find a way to do it. There was no centralized spot where we could get involved. And the same thing with Jonathan DeBurros. I tried to get involved. I tried to help him door knock and do it. But because Ben Protos completely drops the ball and does not have a centralized spot where Republicans can come and help. And
when you say a centralized spot, like you're saying like his office, because he does have an office in Middletown. Are you saying like a place in the region that you guys are operating? Like there's no central command in the region you're working in?
I'm saying a website where you could just go on and say, I want to go help. How do I help? And then they put you to someone that you can go help. And
who is the coordinator for that district who's helping getting right? Yeah. Okay, that's
and then Ben Proto always blames the constituents.
I don't think he's doing that. He's not doing that.
No, he did.
Tell me how he did.
He said, well, don't blame us. Like, we want door knockers and all this. He did this last time during Bob Stefanowski's race. And I'm telling you,
but tell me where he's wrong. But, I get what you're saying. I get that you're talking about this on a level of you're the person who got out there and did the work that Ben Proto is talking about. So he's not talking about.
Tried to.
I get that. What I'm saying, that he's not talking to you. If you made a physical effort to get on the ground and help the candidates win, what Ben Proto is saying, and this is not in defense of him, I'm just giving what he said, and I tend to agree because I talked about it here enough, is that it does take an actual physical effort because we know that we are behind the eight ball. We're the underdog here. We have got to assist the electorate to get it. It's not enough for the person to get the campaign ads running on commercial time or online, that there actually has to be a physical presence. What you're saying is also sort of helpful in their response, is saying that, look, I wanted to go out and help. I did what I could to help, but there was really no one to guide me as like somebody who doesn't know or needs some guidance to actually help me do the work that they need to get done. That's what you're saying.
My point is Ben Proto's entire job is to make it easy for people that want to help, to make it easy for them to help. And if he does not make it easy for them to help, then he is just blocking the party, and he needs to go.
Okay.
End of story.
So and you want him to address that. I'm going to ask him that. I'll do this. This is what I'm going to do, Matt, because that's an important question. I will immediately text him on that and say, here's what Matt's issue is that he wants to help, or if other people want to help, there's no place for them to go, or they don't know where they need to go in order to do the thing that he wants them to do, and that's actively participate in the campaign. Well, is that a good question?
Yes, just make it easy for the people that want to help to help.
Okay.
And he needs to make that easy, not hard.
Got it.
That's
okay.
It.
All right. That's Hey, I think that's a fair enough question. I'll get it to him. And I'm sure he's listening anyway. All right, thanks, man. Let's go to Mike. What's going on, sir? How are you?
Hello. Hi. This is Mike McGarry.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, a couple questions. Well, first of all, to answer that last question, your town chairman should be called. You call your town chairman, say, what can I do to help? That's where politics starts. Mm-hmm. Call the town chairman has your stuffing envelopes, and you do a little phone calling, and then you move up the ladder. And after a while, you want to run for office, he'll ask you, or the town committee will ask you. Now, the question I wish I had asked then, didn't have a chance, was if he were a Democrat, this Bronin versus Larson race. Mm. Now, obviously, I like our Republican candidate. She's got a shot, I guess. I hope she works hard. Obviously, it's a Democratic district, has been for a long time.
Sure.
Forever. Almost back in the 50s. Anyhow, if he had to vote for one or the other in a Democratic primary, which way would he go?
Oh, so you're asking him if he had to, Luke Bronin or John Larson, which would he vote for?
Yeah.
Wow.
What an interesting thing.
It's an interesting question. Okay, well, you know what? Hold on. You know what my motto is, right? Is that we shouldn't ask of others what we wouldn't ask of ourselves. So you first. If you had to, in that case, who would you vote for?
I have a little bit of experience in Hartford, and I've seen the Brown administration, and I've known John Larson all these years. Mm. If I were a Democrat, I would think long and hard before I'd give up all that seniority and all that knowledge of everybody wandering around Washington. As he told you, friends make friends.
Right.
There are Republicans that like Democrats, Democrats that like Republicans, despite all the partisan nonsense.
Yeah.
And I would guess John Larson, very likable guy, is friendly with just about everybody in power in Washington and most of the Republicans as a personal person, you know. I live in Hartford, so if I didn't have Democratic friends, I wouldn't have very many friends. And a lot of them are very conservative Democrats, but
sure.
In Hartford, for example, because the numbers are such, if you want to be involved and get on city council or get a job in administration or whatever, you really have to be a Democrat.
Yeah. So you would take Larson, I'm assuming here, right?
Well, you said...
I'll put it to you this way. I'm not going to say why, although I know I'm going to be compelled to at some point. But you know what? I got to meet Larson, and because I like him, and I do believe that voting is an emotional thing, as Ben Proto was saying here to me behind the scenes, I would go with Larson because I've had, in the brief time that I've been here in Connecticut, I've kind of developed a relationship with him. And I would go with him. Luke Bronin, I've got issues with. And to be honest with you, I think the guy's a little scandalous, which I'll get into at another time, maybe after the new year. But, yeah, I would pick Larson just because. That is if I had to.
Well, I feel that Larson's going to win from what I hear around town.
Yes, so have I.
Let's take the two ethnic papers. There's two black papers.
Okay.
And there's the Hartford News, which is citywide. Mm-hmm. Well, all three seem to Larson gets a little more press, quite a bit more press,
right?
In those three papers. Now, the Current, of course, doesn't do much of Hartford anymore, other than Ken and one or two other reporters. I mean, it's a regional paper, and it's advertising based, whatever they have.
Yeah,
it comes from the suburbs. Let's be honest, but. Generally, the feeling in Hartford amongst those that have been around a long time is that the guy who knows, and the guy who is new would have to start all over again.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I hear anyway. And,
I think you're right on the Larson. I think you're right on the Larson thing. I think he's establishment. I think he's got, I think he's got the connection. I do believe he already has the endorsement. Not that, Blumenthal or Murphy matter as with regards to that, but I think that Larson is a steamboat in the all of us, and Larson's sort of Bronin is kind of an upstart. And you don't win elections by being the former mayor of Hartford. Hartford's a mess, and he can't run on that.
Wait just a second now. All you guys say that.
I'm sorry. Maybe not all of Hartford is a mess, but the Hartford that's a mess is a mess.
Well, I don't know. I would say that we've had our ups and downs, And I would say now there's a drift upward. I see it all over town, a drift upward. And in a couple of years, I saw it in the great 80s.
Yeah.
I was around when the Civic Center was crazy, going beautiful. It was really great times. Or people used to shuttle in from West Hartford to see the Whalers. They pay 50 cents to hop on a shuttle. That day may come again.
I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right. I think that, listen, if they don't revitalize downtown and turn it into a center that people wish to come to, but more people, you ask anybody, Mike, they say the same thing. It's like no one's going to downtown anymore. It's never going to happen. And
I'm going down the street here, and my favorite gin mill is right down here on Pratt Street.
Yeah.
And believe me, many nights when you don't see anybody in the street, my favorite gin mill there is completely full.
Is it?
So there are some places doing pretty well, and more are coming. The Charles down in Wethersfield, a wonderful place, is opening a place on Main Street where we used to have a place called Dish. They'll be opening there. I mean, that shows you something.
Carbone's. I'm hoping. Yeah, Carbone's. You're right. I'm hopeful. But I just don't know when. I'm hopeful. I tell people all the time, the only way that Hartford's going to turn around is if it revitalizes downtown. I hope people have got ideas on how to do it. I don't think that this mayor does, though. I really don't.
Well, that's another discussion another time. Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Thank you.
You got it, sir. I just don't. I want to see it, but I just don't. And it's not going to work. Let me say this. Restaurants are fine for downtown Hartford. Fine. Absolutely. Of course. Bring a restaurant into town. Bring a nice restaurant into town. That's great. Bring a moderate restaurant into town. It can't be a chain. I'm sorry. Just can't. But if you bring a restaurant into town, it's got to be, if it's a chain, it's got to be a good chain. Just is. You know who I'm talking about. I don't want to besmirch anyone, say anything mean-spirited about anybody, but it's got to be a good restaurant. But you can't load up the place with restaurants. You have to have other businesses there as well. You got to be able to attract families there. Laser tag isn't the way. That isn't the way. The malls, they've got that laser tag thing. Let them have it. Okay? And if they're not doing well there, you're not going to do well with a laser tag in the city. That's not going to, a bouncy house, an industrial bouncy house with the trampolines, that's iffy. That's iffy, but you got to bring families. You just have to bring families. Got to bring a little bit of the adult, a little bit of the family thing. Same time, nightclubs could work. They could, but they've got to be nightclubs that don't cater to just the hip-hop scene, right? It's got to be sort of crossover, like a nightclub that would have an 80s night, something that appeals to the UConn or Yale kids, maybe even the Trinity kids, something along that line where kids can come out and there's a, like an 80s or 90s night. There's this nightclub I used to go to in Greenwich Village it was all 80s all the time. The place was always packed, wall to wall, barely any breathing room. But they played, again, this is the 90s. And they're playing, it was like late 90s, I could even say, 96. And the place was just playing 80s music, wall-to-wall 80s music. And then they would do something that would blow my mind at how impressive it was. Then they start playing songs from the soundtrack to Grease. Forget about it. Best place ever. So, something along those lines. I got to just think about that. Nightclubs work. But it can't be all the hip-hop, bang-bang, shoot-'em-up, rapper die slow stuff. It can't. It's got to appeal to a mainstream audience. Just saying. Anyway, another check of weather and traffic as everybody is going to see Nana and Pop Pop. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
Don't forget, you can always download that Odyssey app whenever you want. If not, go to WTIC.com or ReeseOnTheRadio.com, and you can check out the show there as well. What had happened was Ben Proto decided to come down here to the studio. We had a lengthy conversation about anything under the sun, things that have been said about him, things that he was accused of. He answered those questions. It started off a little heated when I played the audio clip of him saying nobody wants to have dinner with Donald Trump. He got a little feisty about that. I thought he was going to get up and leave, Roland. Roland thought so too. I really thought that he was going to get up and walk out of this interview. And I'm glad I got it out of the way first. I thought that was, for me, that part, getting that out of the way, because I know in my heart, I kind of felt like he's going to think I ambushed him on that. And he came in here good faith, but I had to get it out of the way because that's what people recognize him for that. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. In no way did I make it. That's something that people have decided about him, and he addressed it. And that's the only way you're going to get that dirt off you, is that when you address it, and if he had continued to get defensive, people would have been like, see? But he sat through it, and he answered it. And then, of course, he answered the question about, Donald Trump regretting saying fight. He admitted that was a screw-up on his part. And if you don't believe him, that's fine. But he admitted. That's the one thing that I didn't hear from anybody. No one said that he knew it was a mistake, called the White House and told them it was a mistake, and he apologized and said that he would correct it. And he even showed me the picture of him sitting in the president's box at the convention. So he addressed them. So look, I don't know about you, but those things you got to move on from. He also explained the problems with why we're not getting the election results that we want. If you still blame him for it, that's fine. If you still think it's his responsibility, that's fine. But I am going to say that he was echoing, and you guys know it. When he said it, I went, that's interesting. I remember someone who hosts the show from 2 to 6 right here on WTIC saying exactly what Ben Proto said. Right before Election Day, I said, don't sit on the sidelines. I said, get out there and vote. I said, get out there and be a part of it. It's not enough to wish for your party to win. And he sat here, never met the guy, sounded just like Reese on the radio. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit, okay. I'm learning the guy first. I'm learning him firsthand, having never met him before. By the way, can you guys let me shine a little bit? All you rabble-rousers out there? Can you let me shine? I'm trying to, get to know these people because I never had an interview with them, and you guys want to take my shine. I'm kidding. I know why you want to call in. You kind of feel like you didn't get a crack at them. But like I told you, let me get mine. You guys can get yours. I got to get mine first. That's all I'm saying. Now let's get a check of weather and traffic. One thing we won't get is him critiquing actual Harrison Ford films. He's never seen one. Not one. You couldn't think of one. Star Wars. Star Wars.
Well, no, I did see Star Wars. You're right. I'm wrong on that.
Oh, jeez.
That was, 1978?
77. Not like anybody's counting.
All right.
How old were you in 77?
77, I was 13.
Okay, you had to have seen it.
Yeah,
that was a requirement at your age.
Exactly.
A 13-year-old not watching Star Wars?
Right.
There should have been neighbors that drag you into the theater.
Oh, yeah.
You're 13,
I definitely saw that.
Movie.
I definitely saw Star Wars when I was 13.
You didn't see the other ones because you got older, right?
No.
You didn't care.
The only sci-fi I ever really liked was Lost in Space.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that. How old were you that one came out? 7?
Let's see. That was on in the 60s, right? Yeah, so I was probably 5, 6, 7 at that point, somewhere in there.
You're making us look like geeks. You know that, right?
Well, I am a geek.
No, shy.
Danger.
He's not even shy. He was like, Yes, I stopped sci-fi when I was 13.
No, I really did like Lost in Space, but I never really got into any sci-fi other than that.
It's okay. It's okay. We walk away with our shame. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I walk the walk of shame every day, Reese. Trust me.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, we are back, about to get up out of here for the Thanksgiving holiday. Richard A. says, I put Luke Bronin in the same spaceship as Chris Murphy. He also says, Reese, I don't even know my own name. Reese, I was in Burlington, Vermont on Sunday. What a great, vibrant city, even with 32 degrees and snowing on a Sunday. I think Hartford needs to follow their formula. Richard, please find a way to get in touch with me. You can reach me on Facebook. Tell me if you took any pictures or what you saw there. I think I know what you're talking about in Burlington, Vermont. You're 100% right that in 32-degree temperature in some of these small towns, it's still people. But that's because these towns are idyllic. You know, you can walk around. There are little shops and boutiques, and the lighting is just, forget about it. It's Hallmark card, Hallmark channel stuff. And it's a great scene. I know exactly what you're talking about, but get back to me on that. Fritz the Cat is in the house. He says, same thing with Bob Stefanowski. They drove right past us on the Berlin Turnpike to go party instead of campaigning on the Turnpike. Ask the freedom fighters. It was a joke. Yeah, a lot of people were not happy with this Stefanowski campaign. I had him on. Do you remember that? Who was the guy who called them out and said that I didn't like that whole, that penny tax nonsense that was going on? I didn't like it. I was the guy who got his what's his name, his running mate on the show, and then got Bob Stefanowski, who was a little frustrated that I brought it up. Yeah, I heard you complaining. Which is like, dude, if I'm complaining, that's a problem. So, anyway, whatever the case is. Let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. What's up, Christine?
Hey, Reese. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you and Roseanne and the family. That was
you.
A good interview with Ben Proto, and I want to thank you. You shine. You're out doing the work, investigating the stories. Mark from West Hartford shines a big light on many issues that the state-run media ignores time after time. So I appreciate you following up and trying to hold people's feet to the fire. And if you go back to the Metropolitan Community Church in Hartford, can you please send them my regards?
Yes,
Well, don't do that. Well, second thought, don't do that because they'll probably ban you from there, too.
I do understand that they banned you. They were very upset about the attention that they got from me and Project Veritas. But you know what? Look, as the song goes in the Broadway show Chicago, they had it coming. So I'm not upset.
Well, Reese, you know what? Exactly. Their pastor was caught with someone else transitioning a minor age kid without parental knowledge and consent, and he stepped in and created a wedge by calling DCF, and look what happened to the child. Ended up killing themselves.
That's right. And then
I didn't do that. You didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Exactly. And then to be there at that church that day, to know that they were doing an awareness sermon talking about the children who have taken their own lives because of transgenderism, to then have to approach them and ask them about, hey, somebody believes that because of your interference, because of your efforts, that someone lost their life, took their own life as a result of your interference in their relationship with their daughter. And to be somewhat dismissive of it, I thought it was weird. Because you're supposed to be caring about those who may harm themselves because of their confusion. I thought he'd be a little more compassionate, but he was not.
Well, the golden rule is be there if parents or guardians ask you for advice. Do not drive a wedge between families.
Yeah. Thank you, Christine, and I thank you for your reporting. Thank you for doing that over at the, even though it cost you your relationship with them, but it was worth it. Let's go to my good friend Frank eBay. Oh, nope, wrong one. I can't believe I did that. There's Frank. How are you doing, sir?
Good. I'm glad I got on because this Thanksgiving is all about family. And this is important. It is. Everything is family. That was the old man. And speaking of that, it's important for me to say this because I've been talking for 25 years about gold. My family started buying it in 1967. It was illegal for $25 an ounce. We could have lost everything. Federal prison, guaranteed, deportation. But there's one thing more important than gold.
Family.
No, life insurance. You have sponsors for life insurance because you can't buy gold if you're dead. So life insurance and then gold. That's my message to the people out there. Life insurance, then gold. That's what my family did. And I'm glad you got their sponsors. You must have been thinking of me getting those sponsors. That's more important. Seriously.
I totally was.
You can't buy gold if you're dead. But after you get
they
the life
should, you know what?
insurance,
That right now, that should totally be the tagline. Get life insurance because you can't buy gold, if you're dead.
You got that right. Have a good Thanksgiving. Tell Roseanne I was asking for her.
You got it, boss man. Thank you. Craig is in the car. What's up, buddy?
Well, I don't want my call to all be about Has Been Proto. However,
no, it's going to be.
No. I just have a message for him, and that is politics is like business.
Mm-hmm.
It's results driven, and my friend, you ain't getting the job done.
Tell me why. You say he's not getting the job done. He says that he lost the election. Well, we lost elections and lost seats because he felt Republicans didn't come out. They didn't show out. Tell me how you put that on Ben Proto, or how you feel he's responsible for the people who didn't show.
Because he's at the top.
Okay.
If my boss comes to me and says, you were down for this quarter, you were down for the quarter before, I can't blame my salespeople for that. They don't want to hear it. If my salespeople are not getting the job done, it's my responsibility to replace them and find somebody who can. And if I don't do that, I'm out.
What do you make of his response that says when he was, he says, when we did well, no one gave him credit. When we did poorly, it was all his fault. What do you make of his?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what his definition of doing well is, but we got.
Well, he said when they won in 2020, he was talking about the results of, I guess, an off election in 2021. I wasn't here for that, but apparently Republicans did well in 2021, and he didn't get credit for the inroads that they made for the Republican Party in Connecticut during 2021, but he got credit for the failures of 2025.
2021? Okay.
It was either 2021 or 2023. Today? I apologize. Yes, I know. No, don't get me wrong. I know that. What have you done for me lately? I get that. Politics is now driven. I do. But that's what he's saying is that when he's doing successful, he gets no credit. When he does poorly, it's all his fault.
Well, that's the way it goes, pal.
Okay. No. I didn't think there was a correct answer. I just wanted to hear what you had to say about it. So there's no right or wrong.
Goes, pal. If you're looking for a pat on the back, you're in the wrong business. But what I really did want to talk about was Mike's call, because I think Mike's got a little bit of a revisionist memory of Hartford.
Okay.
Whalers.
You're talking about the city. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I remember going to Whalers games in the 80s and 90s, and you would come out of the game, and every store in the Civic Center was closed except for the Whalers gift shop.
Wow.
Nothing was open.
So it's been that way for a long time.
Oh, it's been that way forever. And I'll tell you why Hartford's never coming back, and I hate to say this, you can't compete with the casinos. You just can't. They have the resources. Everything is there. The entertainment's there. The food is there. The shopping's there. There's no crime there. You can't compete with that in Hartford.
Yeah. You would have to bring everything to Hartford, if not even a casino, to compete with it. And then you'd have to practically make it a police state, if you think about it.
They tried it in Springfield. MGM has done nothing for Springfield. The problem is the business model of a casino is that you never have to leave.
That's a good point. That's right. That's exactly right.
Everything is there, and that's the way they design it. Look, it's their sovereign nation, man. They have it all.
Yeah.
They have their own police, their own fire, their own everything.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Compete with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That may be the case. That may be it right there. That may be it, all of it in a nutshell. Thank you, boss. You have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and give my best to Roseanne too.
Please, and to your wife as well and the family, man. We'll see you on the other side.
You got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Dave is in Brantford before we get up out of here. What's up, Dave?
Yeah, quick hit at the end. Yesterday's interview, long form with the Socialist, that raised my blood pressure. That was extremely painful to listen to. Today's was much more relaxed. I don't particularly like Proto, but in some ways it's like saltwater fishing in a freshwater lake. You're not likely to catch anything in a blue state. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's like New Haven. It's like 13-1, Democrats and Republicans.
Isn't it? Wow.
You got to be nuts. I have a brief comment. I am a police lover. I'm your typical conservative Republican.
Yeah.
But yesterday on the news, I see the Hartford police trying to stop that porch pirate thievery with all the deliveries. They are going to have fake boxes, bait boxes to try to catch the thieves. But the libertarian in me warns, there was some discussion on the news report last night that the police are going to be in uniform of maybe FedEx or UPS drivers in camo trucks. The libertarian in me says they should never be incognito, masquerading as a uniform something that they're not. I do not approve of that. You could get people who are masquerading as utility gas company workers who want to get into your house to read the meter. You don't need this. People don't need the paranoia that the utility worker, that the FedEx driver might be a police incognito trying to sneak up on their porch. I don't mind gathering information.
You bring up a very good point.
Information in plain clothes is different than intentionally putting on an UPS uniform.
Yeah.
Again, masquerading is something you're not. I don't think the police should almost never do that. It reminds me when they caught the Unabomber. That's one of the techniques they used.
Yeah.
They were land surveyors, electrical and gas company surveyors. They would ask to get into people's yards so they could get up close and look. I don't think that should ever be legal. And calling it a police technique, I don't agree with that. And I'm warning, if that's what they're doing, I think that's a bad idea.
All right, we'll definitely. We'll pay attention to that story. Thank you, man.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving to you. And that's pretty much it. That UPS thing is actually pretty interesting. That police. There's this video that I watch online, and I'm not going to lie, I don't know why, but it is so much fun to watch. Roland, have you seen these videos of the people who are porch pirates and they grab the box and then they get to their car and they explode?
Oh yeah, is that real though? I didn't. I thought it was. I thought it was set up.
I'll be honest with you. I don't even care.
Blue paint all over them.
It's so much fun to watch. It just is. Because I hate thieves. I hate them. I hate people steal. And to watch it happen, it's just I get a kick out of it. For me, I'm deer in headlights when those things are like, more of them. And whoever's making them, even they're real or they're fake, I don't care. I love watching them. They're so fantastic. They're so fun to watch.
Yeah, there's one that's real that was caught on a Ring camera, and the guy went up to grab the box, and he's walking away. As soon as he gets to the steps of the porch, all you hear is click, click,
boom.
No, it's like the guy, the
owner. I know who you're talking about.
The
guy
of the house.
The guy who comes
with like
out
an
with
AK, with like not a regular gun.
Yes.
It's like he was like, did you see this guy just really think he was going to take this box off my porch?
The dude, he's got dreads with a hoodie on.
Yeah.
He's like, you got it. He's that one.
He was scared out of his mind.
He did
and
not
then
expect
his ride drove off. They
left him.
They left him there. It was like, I'm out of here.
That was my favorite. Like the dude in the car was like, you're on your own, buddy.
Yep. You seen the AK? He was like, I don't want any part of that.
Oh, that was so cold. This is, again, you can't steal, man.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he deserved every bit of that embarrassment. And that fear. I'm pretty sure he's not. It's like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Anyway, all right, time to get up out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning. So plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio, and I am off tomorrow. Boo and who. You have a good Thanksgiving. I'll tell you about mine
Happy
when I get back. Yes, to you
everyone.
too.
And Reese on the radio, Roseanne on the radio, Mark Christopher.
Everybody.
To you, Roland and Reese.
And we are out of here.
Roseanne.
Thank you, Mark.
And everybody, have a great day. I can't believe you're taking a day off, Reese. This is,
it's shameful. It's shameful.
I know. You're
I hang
a man.
my head in shame.
Yeah, it really is monumental. Write this down, Roland, and put it on the wall. This is, I don't know if this will ever happen again.
Don't rub it in.